Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
The benches are beginning to clear. It goes without saying there's not a whole lot of social distancing going on at the moment.
Where does Major League Baseball stand on the retaliation with the Houston Astros?
Dan, intent is a really funny thing because how do you know? Joe Kelly's the guy who during quarantine broke a window at his house trying to throw a changeup.
Do you think he did it on purpose just to give the appearance that he's wild, so when he faced...
It would be the most spectacular long con of all time, and I absolutely hope that that is true.
The biggest guest list and the best sports talk on radio.
If you're the Dodgers, you can't be worried about these little battles. You got to win a war, and you have to win the World Series. The best retaliation is to win.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Made it to a Thursday. Big night, big day ahead of us. Glad you're part of the program. If you're listening, if you're watching, emailing, tweeting, all the above. Come on in, stay a while. The Hall of Famer Reggie Miller will join us from the bubble. He'll be on the call tonight on TNT. Lakers Clippers. Also, it's a game-time decision for Zion Williamson as the Pelicans face the Utah Jazz. More on that story coming up here in a moment. 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address, dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. Say good morning to Chat Row. Also, those watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show and our great radio affiliates around the world, numbering 362 affiliates. Major League Baseball acted quickly, suspending the Dodgers reliever Joe Kelly for 8 games yesterday for throwing at the Astros batters. And it's a confusing punishment for us. Because on one hand, Kelly went high and tight, and that's unacceptable. You're throwing 96, 97 miles an hour at somebody's head, unacceptable. But we're still mad at the Astros because they got away with cheating. Now, nobody got hurt, but the problem is Joe Kelly is the first player actually suspended for the Astros cheating scandal when you think about it. Once again, Joe Kelly is the first player suspended for what the Astros did in 2017. None of the players from the 2017 World Series champs have faced any penalty. In some ways, the Astros have gotten a hall pass with everything going on. There's no fans in the stands to yell at them or hold posters. But Kelly and the Dodgers sent a reminder that no one is over this, and it cost them 8 games in a 60-game season. Now, that would be equivalent to 22 games in a normal season. And I know none of it's fair, and it's easy to see who's to blame. This whole incident reminds us that the Astros cheated baseball, and the whole sport is actually paying a price. And you go back to that word intent. Joe Kelly, were there intentions? Was there intent with him throwing inside? Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman. Well, did the Astros have intent when they cheated baseball? So if we're dealing with the word intent, feels like the Astros had intentions of cheating. Maybe you didn't have all the evidence you needed. But Joe Kelly, the intent, he didn't hit anybody. And he even talked about, hey, you know, I'm kind of wild. Even the broadcasters talked about that. Hey, you know, little lack of control there. Now, do I believe Joe Kelly was trying to send a message? Yes, I do. Do I believe the Astros cheated? Yes, I do. But it's the intent. If I can suspend Joe Kelly for the intent, then why can't I suspend the Astros for the intent? We tried to get a hold of the commissioner. He's got other things to worry about. Like, any more Marlins? Raise your hand if you haven't tested positive. But we continue with baseball. And watch last night. Dodgers won it in extra innings. And that's the approach you have to take. You don't want to, but I don't need an eye for an eye. I just want to win. And if I'm the Dodgers, this is about winning. You have to win this year. You're the most talented team in baseball. Just win. Joe Kelly, you sit him down for 8 games. Now, he's a reliever, but that's still 8 paychecks for him. He's going to appeal. They'll probably knock it down to 5. But the message has been sent by Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is protecting the Houston Astros. That's the bigger problem with all of this. We let baseball police itself until we don't want baseball to police itself. And that's why the commissioner came down so hard on Joe Kelly. If anybody else throws, this is what you face. But I still go back to what I've been saying for the last week or so. If you're going to throw at the Astros are coming back at you. And those pitchers have to protect their hitters. And then they're going to go after Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger. Then it's a bigger issue. You can't afford to lose anybody in this. You might lose a little bit of your pride. Do not lose one of your players. All right, poll question, McLovin. What do you have for me today?
Okay, this is L.A. related, but not baseball. I'll give you the Lakers or the Clippers to win it all, or the field. Which way would you bet?
I'll take that.
Which one?
I'll take the Lakers and Clippers.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'll do that. I mean, I like my odds there.
The Bucks ruined the party for L.A. a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there might be an outlier that I still think Houston, if Houston's healthy, now Eric Gordon rolled his ankle, but if Houston is healthy and they get a favorable matchup, Houston could be an outlier, and provide some damage here. Milwaukee, quietly moving along here, and if there's no issues, should be the class of the East. But you never can tell with the 76ers. The 76ers going to be really good or really average here. And you got Boston. Toronto is well coached. Maybe you have somebody else in there. But, I would take that. By the way, one Astro player was punished to a certain degree. Carlos Beltran, who was hired to be the Mets manager, then was fired after he was implicated in the scandal. So one former Astros player, after his playing career is over, we're going to come down hard on him. And that wasn't even baseball who was punishing. That was the Mets who were punishing him for what he did. Like, we're the Mets and we're not any good. Can he help us cheat? Yes, Paulie.
Maybe that should have been the punishment for the Astros players who cheated. They were not allowed to hold a job in baseball after their baseball career's over. That would be a little bit of a hit. Now, they may not want one, but if you're going to get fired from being a manager, then you can't be a manager.
Yeah, but I don't know how many of those guys want to be in baseball when they're done. They make so much money that you're going to go, hey, do you want to be a third base coach?
They're on their boat down in Miami.
Yeah. Altuve's getting another tattoo that he doesn't want to show us. Yes, McLevin.
Wouldn't that be unfair, though, if Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran were never allowed back in? Because people were very excited about their managing careers.
Well, A.J. Hinch, too.
Yeah, and A.J. Hinch.
Yeah. I don't know if you throw, do you throw yourself on the sword and say, I made a mistake, can I come back from this? I don't know if an organization, and maybe if there's enough time. I mean, look at this. You got teams who are falling all over themselves to bring in Antonio Brown. Like outwardly, trying to court him. Lamar Jackson said, we want Antonio Brown. Russell Wilson Jr. III, we want Antonio Brown. Now, that's a player who has talent. I don't know if you look at A.J. Hinch or Alex Cora and say, boy, we have to have that guy in our dugout here, or Carlos Beltran. But a player, we'll always look the other way. If you have talent, we look the other way. It's hard to really distinguish what is the talent by a manager. Because I feel like I might be able to manage a baseball game. I might be. Yes, McLeod.
Do you remember when the former Saints defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, seemed like his career would be over? Yeah. He's been back a little while, right?
Yeah, but that's a guy who's just teaching you to go out and hit somebody, take somebody out. Like, he didn't cheat the game. I mean, there's been bounties for decades. And, hey, I got a defensive coordinator who's overzealous, and, hey, he pays us $500 if we knock out somebody. All right. If I'm a head coach, I'm okay with having that guy because I'll basically say to him, hey, keep it on the down low here, but I want an aggressive defense in there. And Greg Williams, by all accounts, is a good defensive coordinator. It's just what he was practicing, got out. What other poll questions?
Well, the Zion topic.
Okay.
If you were the Pelicans, would you play Zion in the bubble?
No.
What?
I thought the Pelicans had a great opportunity to not play Zion, that the NBA provided them with an excuse that they didn't have to play Zion Williamson. Because I wonder this, and I don't know if anybody would ever go on record as saying this. If Zion said he wasn't going to play in the bubble, would the NBA have extended the invitation for these other teams outside of the playoff picture? And my guess is probably not. You would have just had 16 teams in the bubble. But the first game back tonight at 6:30 Eastern, national TV, is Zion Williamson and the Pelicans. And that's the way it's being portrayed. But I'm looking at some of the quotes here. And, Alvin Gentry is the head coach, and he said the medical team will still ultimately decide whether Williamson, who was away from the team for 12 days, so he had the family medical emergency, and then he was quarantined for 4 days. So he had been out for 16 days away from the Pelicans and playing and working out. He didn't go into detail about the family medical emergency, but he said that it was something that he talked about, the decision to leave and the timing to come back. And once he returned to Orlando, quarantined in his hotel room for 4 days, and now he's going to be coming back to play against the Utah Jazz. You got a whole career ahead of you. I don't need Zion. I'm glad that Zion is back. Hopefully he plays tonight. For my entertainment purposes, absolutely. But if I'm the Pelicans, I would not want to play him. He's had rest. I get all of that. But now he's had too much rest, too much time off. And he was in great shape, and now you have 16 days off, and then you're going to put him back in? Is he going to be on a minutes limit here, which is what I would have him do? But then they're trying to make the playoffs here. So it's just different for some of these teams. They have to win. Like the Lakers and LeBron tonight against the Clippers. How much is LeBron going to play? How much is Kawhi going to play? Lakers are already established in the number 1 seed. But these other teams trying to get in particular with Zion Williamson, no, I would not have Zion Williamson play. But now that he's there, they're probably getting, they're the number 10 seed. So they're 3.5 games behind the number 8 Grizzlies. Yeah, Paul.
I think I disagree because, I saw a post 3 weeks ago, Zion Williamson in perfect shape, best shape of his career. That was July 2nd. And I know he's been home, but he's been home. I'm sure he has availability to work out like he did the past 4 months, availability to work out. And tonight, he'll get in game shape if he plays in the game, I would think, not sitting there watching in a tracksuit.
I want him in game shape before he gets into the game.
Right. He should be because, he didn't.
No, but he missed 16 days. He was out at home with his family and then quarantined. So that's 16 days on the sidelines. That's what makes me nervous here. But
he is healthy, right?
Yeah, it'd be a healthy scratch, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But and you can't get up to game speed other than being in a game. Not practice, none of that. When the bullets are flying, then, that's when it's real. Then Zion needs to be in shape. I just don't want to take that risk on him.
I agree with what you said, though. You should either play him tonight and let it go and try to, because they're trying to make the playoffs, right? They have to win almost every game they have, or shut it all down and have no risk because they're not really winning anything this year.
No, and I understand that everybody wants to see him, and the NBA is trying to put him on display. That's why they created this. The whole front end of they front-loaded Pelican games to start the season, and then Zion got hurt. And now you're trying to backload the NBA season with games, the Pelicans. Pelicans will be there on national TV as many times as possible for as long as they're still eligible. Yeah, see.
Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way, but isn't an abbreviated season, doesn't that sort of give everybody more of a chance at a ring? So if you're the Pelicans, do you want to wait for a full season to go after it, or do you want to try and grab this one now?
They're going to have a hard time just getting into the postseason. So if you said they were the Grizzlies at the number 8 seed, then I would say, all right, let's go. Let's see what we have. Let's go for it. You're 3.5 behind the Grizzlies. Now, I think they gave the Pelicans one of the easier schedules in the bubble. Man, they're doing their best. I can't imagine what it must have been like at the NBA home office. All right, who could we have the Pelicans play? Could they play like Iowa State? Could they play Brigham Young? Can we? I don't know. How about inter-squad games? Can we make those count here? What can we do here? Yes, McLevin.
So to get into the playoffs, they have to get within 4 games of the 8 seed, they have to be the top 9 seed. So they have to beat out the Blazers and the Kings. And beat out the Blazers might be tough.
Yeah, because you got people saying the Blazers might be the dark horse here, and the Grizzlies are there at the number 8 seed. Sacramento, who knows what you'll get with that. But Zion is a game-time decision. We'll talk to Reggie Miller. What would he do if he were the Pelicans with Zion Williamson? And if I said you can have the Lakers or Clippers or the rest of the field to win it all, who would you take? 15 after the hour, we'll talk to Reggie Miller. He'll join us from the bubble. Phone calls are welcome. A little bit later on, we'll check in with the NFL. Their chief medical officer, Dr. Alan Sills, will join us. We'll talk about protocols here and Notre Dame jumping into the ACC for the 2020 season. And you got basketball coming up tonight. 15 after the hour, this is the Dan Patrick Show. Sleep number setting is 75. You'll find your sleep number setting if you go into a Sleep Number store. Also, they have Sleep IQ technology. But when you think about getting a great night's sleep, when's the last time you said, wow, that was different? Quality sleep is more important than ever. Not only is it a natural immunity booster, it also helps us with energy and recovery. Sleepers who routinely use their Sleep Number 360 smart beds featuring the Sleep IQ technology improve the quality sleep by over 15 minutes each night. And proven quality sleep is life-changing because it helps us health-wise when you think about it. And also creating the atmosphere to have a great night's sleep. Ambient noise can be helpful if you find the right kinds. Don't drink caffeine past 3 o'clock. Keep your bedroom at a cool temperature. Optimal sleep temperature is in the low to mid-60s. All of these things Sleep Number has discovered, and they put them on display for you to understand. Limited time right now. Save up to $500 on select smart beds. Shop your way. The Sleep Number store online at sleepnumber.com/Patrick. That's sleepnumber.com/Patrick. And good luck. We had Dave Pallone on yesterday, and the former baseball umpire. He did not like my called third strike if I was an umpire.
He didn't?
No.
I think I would like it. Let me see. What do you got?
Hee-ha!
Oh, yeah.
He said it was
Easy.
too long. Because he said he would always go, Fin! So
Can I just tell you what with this whole and let the kids play and enthusiasm and emotion.
Yeah.
I think that we need more umpires like Naked Gun, where you got the umpire behind home. Why not? Let's let the umpires have emotion. Let's have the pitchers have emotion. Let's just have a basic dance party when we get a chance to do something great. So I'm saying, let the umpires really let it go, and it wouldn't be too long for me if I struck somebody out in the mound. I'd love to watch the umpire kind of do his thing.
No, I know, but we're worried about showing people up, John. You can't show anybody up.
So here's my beauty of this. All right, so are pitchers just more mature then? Why aren't pitchers doing it? So if hitters get the luxury of being able to let their emotion and let some pitchers be able to do it.
Oh, I'm fine with that. The problem I have is if I show you up as a pitcher, then you go, I'm going to hit you. If Eckersley wants to punt,
it's an easy solve. So imagine the pitcher being able to walk down the line with the guy as he's walking towards the dugout as he struck out, staring him down. I mean, that would be okay, right?
John, I'm okay with all of this. The problem is baseball's old school and it needs to be new school. Every other sport is evolving and having more fun.
Solved it.
I'm okay. If you want to carry your damn bat around the bases, like Serrano did in Major League, I'm okay with that too. I don't care.
You got to YouTube after we're done.
Okay.
YouTube me mocking Carlos Perez. with the Montreal Expos. Okay, it's must-see TV.
Okay.
Nobody thought I was going to be able to do it. It made CNN Play of the Day back in the day.
Okay.
And, he had a little shimmy after every time he struck some bat. And it was fun, and it was this, and it was, guys would laugh. Well, I said, well, watch. I told my teammates, I'm going to do it to him when I strike him out. They said, you don't have the gut. I said, well, you watch. The very next time I'm going to do it. And I do this mock shimmy, and the entire dugout for the Expos was on the ground laughing. And so he told Eddie Perez, our catcher, he said, when I had to face him 5 days later in Montreal, he said, when I strike out Smoltz in Montreal, I'm going to sit down on the mound. So Eddie told me that he was going to sit down on the mound. I think I had a 9 or 10 pitch at bat. I fouled off everything emergency. I was not striking out. Luckily, he didn't sit on the mound. See, it's all in good fun.
I know, but you guys take it far too seriously. Like I'm okay with celebrating something. Baseball doesn't allow you to celebrate great things because we're always worried about how does this look. Right?
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out if some pitchers decide to have a little fun, I guess, on the mound.
This award-winning, award-nominated program brought to you by LegalZoom. You can start online. Their network of independent attorneys provide advice when you need it the most. And since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. Visit LegalZoom.com today for more information. By the way, the Pelicans' 8 opponents in the bubble have a combined winning percentage of under 50%. That's the lowest among the 22 bubble teams. Zion Williamson is a game-time decision for tonight against the Utah Jazz. The other game will be the Clippers-Lakers. It starts at 9 Eastern. On the call will be Reggie Miller along with Kevin Harlan, and Jared Greenberg will join us as well. And look who is zooming in from the bubble, Reginald Aloysius Jr. III. How you doing?
Theodore, my Dan Nitz. I have missed you guys.
What kind of room
great.
you got there?
A room.
Is it a suite?
It's a corner room / suite.
Okay.
Beautiful view. Look, no complaints on my end. We get basketball tonight, so I'm rolling with the punches here.
All right. So you've been quarantined.
I've been quarantined. I've been tested twice. I've been negative twice.
Yeah.
So I get to play tonight. I get to play analyst. So I'm just excited that we have competition.
Okay, but what's it like? So when you leave what time do you leave your room for a 9 o'clock game tonight with the Lakers Clippers? And what's the protocol when you leave?
You'll be dressed up. I'll have mask on. I'll go downstairs. You'll have a temperature check before you leave to get on to, it's like a media shuttle that heads over to the facilities. I'll probably leave around 7:30. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes on this shuttle. That's composed of mostly the media. We're different from the players. We're housed differently. They're under a green zone. We're under a yellow zone. We're not as it's not as intrusive. So you'll get your temperature check. You'll head on over to the arena. You'll probably get another temperature check when you land. Everyone has a yellow lanyard, and I'll just go to the green room and start prepping with Kevin Harlan and our producers and get ready to call the action.
Who you been hanging out with?
Me, myself, and I mean, we've been having a great time. What's funny is my good friend, my best friend, my teammate, Mark Jackson, we're all here in the same hotel, but I haven't seen him. it's okay because we've all been tested and, we should be able to, but, we are in a hot zone here in Florida. And other than daily runs that I go on, I pretty much come back to my room, order room service, and I do have a beautiful view of a golf course. So,
But you don't play golf.
And I don't play golf, which is like a little baffling for me. But I have no bike, but I do have some Santa Cruz sponsorships down here. So I'm trying to get a bike to get on and ride a little bit. But mainly I've just been prepping and staying in my room.
All right. The main question is, have you had the wings at Magic City before, Reggie?
I've never had the wings at Magic City. And I'm trying to think, truthfully, have I ever been to Magic City? Now, I've been to a few spots, but I'm not sure I've ever been to Magic City.
You didn't have the wings there, but you may have been there.
I don't think I've ever been to Magic City. Now, I've been to maybe other places in Atlanta, just not Magic City. So I would be the wrong person to ask how the wings are.
Okay, but if Lou Williams is your teammate, how would you react to that?
Certainly it's a distraction, especially in these unique environment in the setting that they're in. It's certainly a distraction. Is it a big deal? Personally, to me, no, but it's an unwarranted distraction on a team that absolutely has a chance to win a championship this year. So would I probably look at him cross-eyed? Yeah, but personally, to me, it's not a big deal because he is so important to our team. I probably would have a conversation, but it's at the end of the day, to me, it's not that big of a deal. It's more of a distraction for the other guys that have to answer the questions about it.
If I gave you Lakers or Clippers or the rest of the field to win the title?
I would probably take those two teams.
Okay. Yeah, I would too. But I'm wondering, who are we missing out on aside from the Milwaukee Bucks?
People keep sleeping on the defending world champs. I'm telling you, Toronto, in an environment like this with no home court advantage, and you just go out and play, and you've got experience, and you've got a team that's been together, and then as Juan, I know they're minus Kawhi Leonard, but I think we'll see a different and better version of Kyle Lowry. Pascal Siakam, the all-star, has proven that he is a gamer. You've got size with Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol, and Fred VanVleet is an unbelievable player and shot maker, and they are well coached by Nick Nurse. No one wants to talk about Toronto. I would not be surprised if they come out the East.
We're talking to Reggie Miller. Reggie's on the call tonight. Lakers Clippers at 9 Eastern. Kevin Harlan will do the play-by-play. We were talking about Zion Williamson game-time decision here.
I'm a little surprised about that. Is it a game-time decision because is there an underlying health issue or because of conditioning? Because if it's conditioning and you're 18, 19, 20-years old, get out there and play. Yeah. We have an opportunity here, and I know they're 3.5 behind Memphis.
Yep.
Memphis has one of the most difficult schedules in these seeding games. And I believe you mentioned this, New Orleans has the easiest.
Yeah.
So you have an opportunity to be within that 4-game gap to have a play-in game possibly, but also too, if you're Alvin Gentry and you're the Pelicans, you're trying to build a foundation. You're trying to build for the future. So are you going to necessarily win a championship this year? No, but let's build winning habits, playoff habits. Let's play at a high level, intensity level. And for me, that includes having Zion on the floor. So if he's hurt or injured, I can understand that. But if it's coming from a conditioning standpoint, I heard him comment, I could play 48 minutes if I had to. Well, let's test that out. He needs to be on the floor playing, Dan.
Yeah, I just don't know that he missed 12 days when he went home for the family emergency, then came back, he's quarantined. So that's 16 days, which feels like an eternity for an athlete in a season that has been so stop, start, and now you're down 16 games where you can't get out of your room. Even if you were at home, you're not working out the way you would if you were with your team. I don't know if he's on a minutes restriction.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
if it's a minute restriction, you still have to play him. right? Even if it's 5 to 6 minutes a quarter, play him. Play his way into shape because these other guys feed off his energy. And this is a young, scary team, New Orleans, along with Portland. I think those two teams are really going to make a push for that A seed and really push the Memphis Grizzlies. So it'll be interesting.
The Lakers and Clippers and their approach to these games before they get into the playoffs. What would be your approach for LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard?
If you're the Lakers, Clippers, Milwaukee, Toronto, and I'll probably even throw Boston in there. There's not a lot for them to play for in these seed-in games. So to me, health and finding a rhythm are the two most important things. So if you're LeBron and Kawhi, obviously they both are going to play tonight along with Paul George and Anthony Davis, who has got poked in the eye and is going to be wearing goggles tonight. Find a rhythm because these 8 games are going to go quick and they have to hit the ground running, getting ready for the first round. So staying healthy, finding a rhythm, cohesion. There's certain players not playing tonight. No Sweet Lou, no Montrezl Harrell, no Patrick Beverly for the Clippers, and then no Avery Bradley and no Rondo for the Lakers. So other guys are going to be in the mix here and finding, if you're LeBron and if you're Kawhi, finding rhythm and balance with some of these other guys is just as important. So I think that's why they need to play and try to find some cohesion amongst one another.
After LeBron, who is the face of the NBA?
I would probably say James Harden. I would probably throw an up-and-coming Giannis because he will be the MVP this year, and he'll be back-to-back MVPs, and he's very personable. But I think it's a huge gap. I think once Kevin Durant comes back a little bit and starts to play, you could throw Steph Curry in there, but we don't see a lot of commercials. Right now, it's a clear-cut favorite that it's LeBron. But who's going to try to grab the mantle once he starts to depart from the game? And to me, it's up for grabs.
Yeah, it's a pretty big drop-off, and I don't know if it was that big a drop-off with Jordan because you still had Bird and Magic were still in the game, and, Bird, obviously his talents were diminishing, though, but was it as big a drop-off, Jordan to the next guy in the face of the NBA as it is now with LeBron and the next guy?
Well, we had Shaq. Shaq was emerging.
Yeah.
You had AG, Kobe. I don't know if it was, Tim Duncan.
But a worldwide guy, though, because Mike was a worldwide guy.
I think Shaq is worldwide. I think Kobe was worldwide.
Yeah.
So, and to me, I think having a 2-time MVP from Greece, that's pretty worldwide to me.
But selling products, though, is when you're a guy that if you see him on TV, you go, oh, it's LeBron, or oh, that's Steph.
You instantly know, and you know their accomplishments, and you can understand that. But again, I think it's up for grabs. And I think Curry and what he has done and winning championships and MVPs, and he's such a great guy. I think that has helped, be very personable to marketers.
Yeah, I was just wondering that when LeBron goes, somebody's going to have to want to be that voice, to be that face, and you have to want it. Jordan was it, but I don't know if he wanted to be it. He was just so good and so popular. LeBron has kind of sought this out, that I want to be the spokesperson. I want to be the face of this league. I don't know if the Greek Freak is able to do that. Luka Doncic. Harden doesn't seem like that's something that he would aspire to do. Steph Curry might, but he's, 33? Right. So, Anthony Davis is not that kind of guy. Kawhi's not that guy.
I think now you're starting to talk about players like Zion Williamson,
I know.
Right? But
I know.
Are we going to see him? I mean, I think that's the league. Normally, they like to start marketing, some of these younger guys. And you mentioned Luka and Zion could be in that category as well.
We had Damian Lillard on the show last week, and I asked him, who's the MVP? And he said, LeBron. And I said, what's different about LeBron? And he said, he's just so smart. So now you get by. At what point does a player rely more on his intelligence, his basketball IQ, than his physical talents? And is LeBron there now where it's more about the mental than it is the physical?
Yeah, I do think he's there now, though he still at times shows flashes and glimpses of the 20-year-old years of LeBron James. But he's always been this smart. He's always been this talented. But I think once you hit that magic age of 31, 32, I think as an older player, I played until I was 38, 39. You start to rely on some of those life lessons that you learned in your 20s. And I think that's what LeBron, he has that base. That's something that he can revert back to. And though I do agree to a certain degree what Dame says, I think LeBron is the most valuable for his team. But in terms of play and the MVP, I mean, the numbers that Giannis has put up the last 2 years is something that we've never seen before. And you mix in his length and athleticism, and people say, well, he plays in the East. And it's, well, if I memory serves me right, LeBron played in the East too for a long time, and no one held that against him. So we shouldn't hold because he plays in the East against Giannis as well.
Yeah, I think that they held it against LeBron because then he says, all right, I'm going to go West. He goes West. They have the best record in the West. He leads the league in assists. And like he's saying, all right, you want me to win championships? I'll go to Miami and win championships. Well, you need to go. And, you can't be a super team. All right, I'll go back to Cleveland. I'll win a championship. Oh, you did it in the East. Now let's go West. So he's done everything that people have asked him to do. And I think we love a story. The Greek Freak, it was a story the first year he won it. It's not a story this year. LeBron's more of a story, but you're right. The Greek Freak is the MVP. It's just writers and members of the media, they want to tell a good story. You can't tell the story of the Greek Freak again. We've already heard it. But LeBron in reinventing himself in Los Angeles and the kind of player he is, that's why I think he's probably got more attention than he deserves.
And I think this is why, being in this bubble situation, again, and I can't stress this enough because I was able to go over to the arena and we, kind of did a mock action call of that Houston-Boston game a couple days ago.
Did you get to shoot in there, Reg? Because I was curious about the background.
We're not allowed on the floor.
Okay.
We can't go anywhere near the floor because remember, we can't interact with the players, the officials, or any game officials. So they're keeping us all separate. But there's not a lot of energy in there. And you, as a player, have to manufacture your own energy. I know they're piping in the virtual fans and they're having all the bells and whistles, but people at home, it is a little different. And I will say this, most of these guys are used to practicing in an empty arena. They all practice in their home arena when no one is around. So they're somewhat used to it. But it feels different playing at a high level type game with no fans. I want people to understand fans are so important to our game because it's that energy that they bring on certain plays. And something to watch during this next two and a half months. Fans, they may not want to watch the officials because on block charges, on travelings, when you hear the moans of a fan, sometimes that sways the officials. You don't have that now. So you're going to get a true sense of how officials calls games because they won't be swayed by the fans. They say they don't, but they do. You're going to get a true sense of the officials during this experiment.
I was wondering about the background because when I think of a home court advantage, it's that feeling when you walk in and you know where you are on the floor and it just looks comfortable. Nobody has a home court advantage, but I didn't know the way the basket is and the depth perception. Is any of that going to be an issue for these teams? It will not.
No, not for shooters, no. And I believe of the 22 teams, they've all at some point, there's 3 arenas that the games will be played at. I believe all 22 teams have had a chance to either practice or play at each one of these arenas. So they'll be familiar with their surroundings. I think the quality of play will be the same. It's just, players like Patrick Beverley and Montrezl Harrell, Marcus Smart, Alex Caruso, those guys, that's in their DNA. And that, to me, that's why they are so valuable. They will be so valuable in a situation like this to rally their teams when the energy is a little bit low. it's guys like that you have to have on the bench to kind of, get the rest, rally the troops around and get going.
What are you going to do the rest of the day?
We have a Zoom production meeting. Everything is Zoom now, baby. We have a Zoom production meeting after this, and I'll go get a workout in, and I'll do some more studying, and then again, I'll leave at 7:30, heading over to the arena for Lakers Clippers. Hey, this is my shirt. I want everyone take it like this.
Another
day in
paradise.
That's all we're going with. Just another day in paradise. And I know you're a big golfer, Theodore.
Oh,
and my dad.
Here we go. A walk and talk. Here we go.
I'll just tease you a little bit.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's my view. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean.
We had Rudy Gobert on yesterday, and I said, did they give you a view of the Eiffel Tower at Epcot? And so he picked up his computer and took it over to the window, and we looked around. He goes, nope, that's not here. Not here. Not much there. But
look, I got to give kudos to the NBA. I know they're spending, I read somewhere, $180 million on this bubble type campus situation. They've done everything first class. And I was a little apprehensive. Again, I'm coming from California all the way here, traveling commercial into a hot zone. I know California's a hot zone, but Florida is like volcanic ash hot zone.
Did you think about not doing it, given you have young ones at home?
I thought about that, but I also thought this is my job, right? And, we talked about it as a family, and they supported me, and I'm here in the bubble. So the NBA has been first class about this. And I truly, the people ask, what's the best experience about being in the bubble? And I tell people, being tested twice weekly and knowing that you're negative. To me, that's the best thing about the bubble, is that I know I'm negative.
Well, you feel safer there than outside of the bubble.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm inside of it, and I feel safe. So that's the best part.
We'll talk to you next week. Have fun tonight, Reg. We'll be listening. Thank you, bud.
Theodore, I miss you. I miss my Danettes. I love y'all. Let's do this little cabbage patch.
That's Reggie Miller on the call tonight on TNT at 9 Eastern. Play of the day is up next here on the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan, as I peruse the National Day calendar, here's a unique one. It is National Whistleblower Day, Dan. It commemorates July 30th, 1778. The Continental Congress passed a historic unanimous resolution. It honored 10 sailors who spoke out against abuses by their commanding officer, hence whistleblower, because you blow a whistle on the ship. The government gave protection to whistleblowers ever since. And, I didn't even know where the term came from or the thing. The most famous whistleblower is Mark Felt, Deep Throat. And so today is National Whistleblower Day. Lieutenant Richard Marvin and Midshipman Samuel Shaw were the people who were, they called them narcs back then, Dan, but I didn't like them when they called them that. And they're the original whistleblowers.
This would be a good day for the NBA restart for players to start picking up their phones, and just when we're all happy and the NBA season's restarting, everyone starts doing, it's National Whistleblower Day.
Todd, you talk pretty fast there, and it's funny because my question was, has anyone in this room ever narked anybody out where you feel bad about it and you want to get it off your chest?
Where you felt bad about it?
I have one, but it's more I was narked out for something I didn't actually do, but I got punished. Anyone get narked out, nark anybody out? Third grade, at our little grade school, someone parked in this area where the kids played at recess. They accidentally parked their little Chevette in the wrong area. I was in third grade. And a bunch of the kids started going over by the car and messing with it. And like a couple of them stood on the bumper. And then I guess the principal came out, and the principal was very upset. And she goes, if anyone did this, come up right now and, whatever. And if anyone saw anyone doing it, tell me right now who did it. And this girl, whose name I won't give out, she goes, I saw Paul Pabst on the back of the bumper.
Oh, what?
And
what?
I really,
you're like, dude,
Why'd you do
I
that?
wasn't the best kid in the world. I got in a little bit of trouble. I wasn't on the bumper, and I stand by that. I got punished. I got sent home.
I stand by that.
I was in the vicinity.
You stand by it or stand on it?
Now, when I went to the principal's office, I was given the opportunity to tell on other people who did it. And I knew the 2 people who did it. I can give you the names right now if you want.
Well, I don't know, statute of limitations.
It's okay.
Well, no, don't give it now if you didn't give it back
Rob
then.
Vershek and Steve Shanta.
Well, you're giving their names away, but you won't give the name of the girl that ratted you out?
Charisse.
Come on,
me
Charisse,
out.
you're better than that.
But these 2 guys, they're good. Rob's a good buddy of mine, and he was one of the guys that's doing it. I was right there, but I wasn't on the bumper. I was adjacent to the bumper. I was near the bumper.
And what was the problem with being on the bumper again?
You were standing on the car, on someone's car, like standing on it, like hopping up and down.
Aren't you narking out the narc?
I think they think it's funny now. Oh, I'm narking out the narc. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Narking on the narc.
Telling on someone who told on you when you didn't do anything wrong?
I got knocked on in my junior high school math class. Someone was throwing a paper airplane around, and for whatever reason, I wanted to be in on it, and finally landed on my desk. And Miss Sharma, the math teacher, she was writing on the blackboard, her back's facing us, and it landed on my desk, and I picked it up, and I threw it, and somehow it made its way all the way to the front and hit the blackboard right near where she was writing. She turned around, and they couldn't rat me out fast enough, because I guess I was one of those, students that had to get 100 on every test. And like, who threw that? And they said, Todd threw it. I don't even think a full second went by. I don't think she finished her sentence. Who threw that? Todd threw that. Like even Mr. Goody Two Shows, you have to get an A on everything. He's gonna get in trouble throwing a paper airplane. He's gonna get sent to. And thankfully, because of my reputation, she turned around and said, "Todd wouldn't do something like that. So who really threw it?"
Did you admit you did it?
I did not. Because I was so mad that they ratted me out so fast, but she refused to believe that I would throw a paper airplane in class. So she said, "Well, let me know when you want to tell me who really threw it, because Todd doesn't do things like that." But
wow.
they couldn't.
So you earned a hall pass.
I did.
Okay.
That was my hall pass. But yeah, I almost hit her in the head with this paper airplane, just right by her head while she was writing. But I just to this day, I'm like, I thought I had friends in this class. I keep to my own.
Thought wrong.
Well, I can't believe how quickly Todd threw it.
Dang.
Because I was the one where, like, if someone got like a 66 on a test and I got 98 and I argued for the 2 points, and that knocked their 66 to a failing grade of 64, so I can get the 100 because the teacher made a mistake on the -2. So I could see why they'd like it's definitely him who threw it. I saw him do it.
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it!
They're gonna play it and play it. This is the play of the day. Check this out.
That is a diving stop for Brian. He'll step on third, throw to first. Oh, he caught it. Is that a triple play?
That's a triple play.
A triple play. How about that? Chris Bryant gets the Cubs out of the inning.
That's a triple play, courtesy of Marquee Sports Network. Cubs went on to lose to the Reds, 12-7. I watched Jacob deGrom against the Red Sox last night. It wasn't the typical Jacob deGrom. And the Red Sox ended up winning that game. Watched the Dodgers and the Astros, and the Dodgers winning in extra innings. Let me see. We talk about home field advantage a lot. And home court advantage is a bigger deal in the postseason in the NBA than the other three major sports: baseball, NFL, and the NHL. Winning percentage in the playoffs by home teams since 2000. So the last 20 years, NBA, the home team wins 64% of the time, a little over 64%. The NFL is right at 64%. The NHL just under 54%. And baseball is 54% as well. But the thing to factor in, which is kind of unique this year, this NBA regular season, the home teams had a winning percentage of just 55%. That's the lowest in NBA history. So you can make an argument that home court doesn't matter that much anymore. Lowest winning percentage in the NBA at 55% this past season. All right, McLovin, did you settle on a poll question?
We started out with, would you shut down Zion if you were the Pelicans? 64% said no.
I'd like to know if there's any pre-existing condition or injury with him, and what's the trepidation here? Because if he's a game-time decision, can he play? And if he can play, then just limit his minutes. Like, why are you there if you're not? I don't know. I'm just curious as to. I don't want them to get into a situation like the Yankees did with Jabba Chamberlain. You remember that relief pitcher? And they just, after a while, you let him walk on his own. But they babied him, pretty much his entire career there. And he never was able to pitch out of trouble. Like, anytime he got in trouble, they'd take him out. And obviously Zion is a different player, and the expectation level is extremely high. But if you're going to have him play, then let him play. Are there going to be injuries down the road? Yes. The lack of conditioning? Okay. Have him go out and play 5 minutes each quarter. But if you're trying to build a culture, just like Reggie said, you want that team to experience things together because you have a young core there. I mean, you have J.J. Redick, who's one of the leaders, veterans, but you have a young group of players, and you want them to experience this because the pressures that go along with this, being a marquee TV draw that you're going to be put on display for public consumption, like all of these things factor in the learning process because it's rare when a team makes that big leap and then they're the team to beat. You must go through sort of the growing pains of that. Go back in history. The Bulls did that with Michael. The Pistons did that with Isaiah and the Bad Boys. Everybody has that moment where you go up against the better team and then you learn. And then you learn how to get past them. I want New Orleans building something, and I do think they have something special here. I love the young group that they have. And whether they make the playoffs or not, these are the building blocks that you'll take into next season. And I think that's the thing that I would be curious about. If Zion has something pre-existing or they're nervous about, then, okay, I understand the game time decision. But what's going to be different about this game as opposed to the next game? And then the next game? That's what I want to know. Yeah, Paul.
And maybe go the opposite way with Zion. Play him tonight, tomorrow, the next night. If you're 3-0, you keep playing him. If you're 0-3, you're like, well, that's it. We gave it a shot. There's no need risking him in the last 5 games that were no longer eligible for the playoffs in any way.
Yeah, but why is it a game time decision if, you can't just sort of be half pregnant? Are you playing him or you're not playing him?
My opinion is the NBA doesn't want to announce that he's out tonight because he's the reason most people are going to watch. Half the people are going to watch this game. Not just that the NBA is back because it's Zion Williamson is back. I'll bet they want to delay this announcement as long as they can. Mm-hmm. Conspiracy, but.
Yeah, but what's the mystery here? I mean, it's Zion Williamson. Is he going to play or not? Game time decision? What is the decision that needs to be made? Is he in shape? Is that what this comes down to? Now, weren't we told 3 weeks ago he's in the best shape of his life? And then he was, out for, being the family emergency and then being quarantined. So 16 days. All right. But, man, that was quick. He went from the best shape of his career to now he's a game time decision. If there's something that I'm missing here, it just feels like that. But if I'm the Pelicans, are you playing him? And what is the difference of tonight and then the next game? And then the next game after that? We'll check in with the Pelicans a little bit later on. Check in with the Dodgers after last night's win. Back-to-back wins. Joe Kelly down for 8 games. Finally, somebody suspended for the Astros cheating scandal. Just happened to be a Dodger who wasn't a Dodger when the Astros beat the Dodgers in 2017. And we'll check in with the NFL as well, coming up.
Anyone else want to get off their chest? It's National Whistleblower Day.
I once got narked on because I was on an arts and crafts trip, so I was young, and I was on a school bus. I was real young, and God, I can't believe I did this. And it was hot, because it was summer. It was like one of those summer day camp kind of things that like your town puts on. And we were going to some park or museum or something, and it was really hot, and we were on this bus forever, and we were like, man, what is taking so long? Like, it's just forever or whatever. And I heard somebody say, oh, they got lost, and I went, you. And the parent or chaperone was like, who said that or whatever, and it was like that kid right there. And if it wasn't for some kids pointing, everybody had turned around and looked right at me, and I was like
when you say young, were you 8?
Well, I was young enough that I needed to be watched. So
yeah, but that's
a pretty big word for an 8-year-old.
Yeah, well, yeah, I too was a bit of a ruffian.
I was not.
Yeah. So
you're still being watched.
Yes. Well, my wife is for it. Yeah. You.
Andrew, you got anything? This is it. National Whistleblower Day. You ever narc anybody out? You want to?
No, I've never got in trouble, so never. Except
I ratted out a kid that had a switchblade in my Spanish class, which I thought had to be addressed in high school. Just three rows in front of me and to the right. He was playing with like a switchblade.
Everybody had a switchblade in high school.
Wait, was it a pen knife?
No, it was an actual like knife. Not that he was going to go around and start stabbing everybody, but I'm like at the end of class, I went to the teacher and go, Daniel over there, he's got a knife. And then somehow it got back to me, and then him and his boys saw me in the hallway a little later. So he gave me this look like this kid's going to
Is that the guys who push you down the stairs?
There was different kids.
Maybe that's the guy who ate your
I was
house
pushed down a flight of stairs.
Maybe he found out and ate your house.
Payback.
It could be. But this kid, Daniel, and his friends, somehow it got to them, like, he told the teacher that you had a knife, and he gave me I don't know, I have still nightmares.
Did you stay home for a couple days?
You're eventually going to be stabbed by that knife that you told the teacher that I had. So just so you watch your back. While you're going to your little chemistry midterm, something might happen.
You get a shiv.
They were tapping.
You wouldn't do well in prison.
I would not.
No. You would not.
He didn't do well in grade school.
I know.
He's like, I can't wait to stab this kid at the end of the day for telling the teacher that I have a knife. He's going to be great. Everybody, 3 o'clock, everybody be in the parking lot, watch me stab Mr. 99 student.
You remember your first paycheck with the Cowboys?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you do with that?
You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear, man. Listen, you don't want to hear.
Now I do, Mike.
Okay, listen. I got my first little signing bonus. I left that check on the counter at the house forever. My people were calling me every day. Man, you got to send in the check. Michael, send in the check. Mike, we're losing interest on the check. I said, you're losing interest. Everybody walks in this house and sees that check. I'm getting a whole lot of interest. I don't know what you're talking about. I left that thing on the counter, and they were, everything that walked in that house walked in. And yeah, when they saw that, things got real easy. It was nice.
So the brothers and sisters, you put the check on the counter so your brothers and sisters could see that kind of money.
It wasn't my brothers and sisters coming in my house at that time. No, sir, Bob.
Oh.
No, sir. It was other people coming in at the time, and they had to see it.
Oh.
And yeah, it was. I was young, Dan. I was young.
I wish I would have known you back then.
I was young.
How would I have done with you if I was your partner?
You don't kill me, man. I must have been the brokest dude in the world, and they gave me a check like that. Are you joking? It was with that many zeros behind it. There was no way I was running that right to the bank without showing it off first. So I showed it off for a while.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
To go to sleep. Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
The benches are beginning to clear. It goes without saying there's not a whole lot of social distancing going on at the moment.
Where does Major League Baseball stand on the retaliation with the Houston Astros?
Dan, intense is a really funny thing because how do you know? Joe Kelly's the guy who during quarantine broke a window at his house trying to throw a changeup.
Do you think he did it on purpose just to give the appearance that he's wild, so when he faced...
It would be the most spectacular long con of all time, and I absolutely hope that that is true.
The biggest guest list and the best sports talk on radio.
If you're the Dodgers, you can't be worried about these little battles. You got to win a war, and you have to win the World Series. The best retaliation is to win.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Thursday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Glad to have you on board. Got to spend some time with Reggie Miller. He's on the call. Lakers-Clippers tonight on TNT. That's at 9 Eastern. The opener at 6:30 Eastern. My Pelicans against the Utah Jazz. And right now, Zion Williamson is a game-time decision. He had this to say about his availability. Me and my team are going to look for what's best for me and my future, being safe. But if you know me, I want to hoop. That's just how I am. I'm never going to change. Why is this a game-time decision? That he's either going to play or not play? Can he play a couple of minutes each quarter? We don't know right now. We don't know why it's a game-time decision. We'll check in with the Pelicans coming up in a little bit. We'll also check in with the NFL coming up as well. Your phone calls are always welcome, 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. Say good morning to our radio and TV partners. You can watch on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show and the powerful Fox Sports Radio lineup. And with all the focus on limiting the spread of the coronavirus, it's hard to focus on the basketball storylines of the NBA bubble. And we know about the Lakers and LeBron, Zion Williamson, the Greek Freak. But there are a lot of interesting contenders here. If you start to think about there's no home court advantage, or, you know, in some of these cases, a disadvantage. But basketball is in pretty good shape, it feels like. And making predictions is really tough to do. And you have all these new questions, and it's nearly impossible. It's more of an NCAA tournament feel. Not exactly one and done, but it should be a wild ride, like the tournament is. And somebody's going to get hot here. You're going to have a favorite bow out early. You might have a team that you didn't expect that gets deeper into the playoffs. But hopefully the NBA playoffs will be a great event that we can all enjoy and celebrate in the coming months. But Reggie Miller said, by all accounts, it looks great. He feels safer in the bubble than he does outside the bubble. And he said if you're looking at a couple of outliers here, he thinks Toronto is coming out of the East, and he thinks Portland is going to be really dangerous in the West. McLovin, do we have the poll question, or are we going to stay with the poll question we had from the first hour?
So the first hour was, if you were the Pelicans, would you shut down Zion? 64% said no.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few topics we could switch to. I hesitate to bring it up, but I know you were waiting with bated breath to see the NFL Top 100.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
If you put up the poll of that top 4 and reordered it, how would people vote?
Okay, I want to point something out here. This is the NFL Network's list. This was voted on by the players. I have the list from 2019. Here is the top 10 players voted on by the players. Aaron Donald is number 1. Drew Brees 2. Khalil Mack is 3. Patrick Mahomes is 4. Todd Gurley 5. Tom Brady 6. Antonio Brown 7. Aaron Rodgers 8. Julio Jones 9. Von Miller 10. That's from last year. It changes quickly in the NFL. Lamar Jackson is number 1. Russell Wilson is 2. Aaron Donald 3. Patrick Mahomes is 4. Michael Thomas of the Saints 5. Christian McCaffrey is 6. George Kittle is 7. DeAndre Hopkins 8. Stephon Gilmore is 9. And Derrick Henry is 10. Things change quickly in the NFL. That's why when I see the list, it's for entertainment purposes. I saw where Kansas City Chiefs fans are upset. You know what? You know what would upset me more? If I lost the Super Bowl or I didn't have Patrick Mahomes for another decade. That would really upset me. If you want to put Lamar Jackson at 1 and Russell Wilson at 2, go ahead. But the players vote on this. That's what I found interesting. Lamar Jackson at 1, I need to see a little bit more. Russell Wilson at 2, I've seen enough, and I'm fine with that. Aaron Donald, but Patrick Mahomes is 4, then Michael Thomas is 5. But if I said, let's vote on this, if I said to all of these players, you can pick your quarterback here. Every player in the NFL, you get to pick your quarterback. How many of those players are taking Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson over Patrick Mahomes? And I would say a very small percentage. And you might even find some players on the Ravens and the Seahawks who might take Patrick Mahomes. So I just don't put much value in this. We love rankings. Got to have a list. And here you go. And this is going to change next year. DeAndre Hopkins will not be in the top 10 next year. Stephon Gilmore probably won't be in the top 10. Who else won't be in the top 10? George Kittle is real. Christian McCaffrey with a bad team might not be there. Michael Thomas, what's he do for an encore? Aaron Donald feels like he's firmly cemented. Like Khalil Mack, where did Khalil Mack go on this list? He went from top 10 to 19th, just like that. And then you'll look at some of these players and you'll say, who is jumping up on this list? Like T.J. Watt of the Steelers is going to move up. Is Deshaun Watson going to move up? Nick Bosa is already up there. Does Aaron Rodgers continue to fall? Tom Brady will fall. Bobby Wagner will fall. Drew Brees is 12th on this list. Julio Jones is 11th on this list. But that's why I just don't get caught up in the list. I know I have. But when it comes to something like that, when I hear a fan base, they're upset. Boy, there are other things to be upset about. If I know when I wake up every day for the next decade, Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback, I'm not worrying about too many other things when it comes to football. Yeah, Paul.
If I were a Texans fan, I'd be bothered by the list. The 8th best player in the league was traded for running back David Johnson of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
And a couple draft picks. DeAndre Hopkins is the 8th ranked player in all the NFL, and they got very little for him.
That's why I go back to, why didn't Seattle reach out with some kind of package to bring in DeAndre Hopkins? Why didn't Green Bay reach out? Give that first-round pick up for DeAndre Hopkins. How about that? And I know the obvious question would be, well, would you rather have DeAndre Hopkins or Jordan Love if you're the Packers? I think the Packers would rather have Jordan Love. Yes, McLovin.
There had to be some sort of secret deal that people must not have known he was on the market.
He was being traded. I knew that he was being traded. I was told by a source, it's not a question of if, but when he's traded because he hates Bill O'Brien. That's how it was framed for me. If I knew it, I'm guessing it was out there in the open market for these NFL teams. What was the other offer that you turned down for DeAndre Hopkins? That's what I want to know. And then Lamar Jackson openly petitioning to bring in Antonio Brown. Now, it doesn't sound like the Ravens are going to want to bring in Antonio Brown. Russell Wilson wants to bring in Antonio Brown. I wouldn't mind bringing in Antonio Brown. I just don't know, is he going to be suspended? The commissioner hasn't even ruled on Antonio Brown. Plus, this is a guy who just retired a couple of weeks ago. Mentally, I don't think he's in a good place and would not want to bring him in. Physically, he's spectacular. But, even the Patriots tried to bring him in, tried to convert him to the Patriot way. I would not want to bring in Antonio Brown as great as he is. Now, there's way too much attached to this. Because he'll take over the locker room. And that's people were saying, well, Tom Brady stays in touch with Antonio Brown. Maybe they bring him to Tampa. That's the last player you need in Tampa. You have enough weapons. You don't want a guy who comes back to the huddle and says, you got to give me my touches, man. because he's going to want to prove everybody wrong. That's not the guy you want. That's why Odell Beckham Jr. was not the right guy for the Cleveland Browns. He wants to prove the Giants wrong and everybody else wrong. I need my touches. And then Baker Mayfield, who's in his second year, is going, okay. And then you force the ball. You lock in on that guy. You don't need a receiver like that. As great as Jerry Rice was, he would drive Steve Young and Joe Montana crazy. He wanted his touches. I mean, Jerry Rice, you can never feed a wide receiver enough. They're always going to want more. And the last thing you want is that guy who comes back and disrupts everything you're trying to do. Because Baker Mayfield is impressionable. I mean, he's like, yeah, I want to get the ball to Odell Beckham. You can get it to him, but get it to him in a situation where he can succeed, and you don't become a very one-directional offense. And that is, I'm looking at Odell Beckham. All right, Jarvis Landry. You guys have the best running back tandem in the league, in my opinion. That's where I would start. You got two really good running backs. And I would get back to, we're going to run the football. But then I got to deal with Odell Beckham. I would trade him. I'd trade him in a second if I could. I need to get guys who are going to be on the same page. And Antonio Brown is, that's what these receivers do. They're divas. That's how they get attention. Yes, McLovin.
So Lamar Jackson said that the Ravens locker room is so strong that they could absorb Antonio Brown. Is there any chance that those elite teams have the locker room to handle it?
How do you think the Patriots locker room was?
Yeah.
I mean, I can give you the Raiders locker room wasn't strong, but I'm going to guess the Patriots locker room was pretty strong. The NFL doesn't want Antonio. They don't want to be in the business of Antonio Brown anymore because there's no upside here. You know, that, and the sport moves on from you so quickly. Nobody's clamoring saying, God, we got to have Antonio Brown back. I would love that he was able to get due process there, and if somebody wants to sign him, then great. But I would not want to, I just don't want to have that. I don't want to hold my breath every night if something's going to happen with Antonio Brown. Or when I go into the facility, is he there that day? Wonderful talent. No argument whatsoever. But I got to have a team player, and I don't think he's a team player anymore. And it's sad because that's a wonderful story. Came out of nowhere. Wonderful story. Then all of a sudden, you become a little bit different. I'm AB. I need my touches. And then you go off the reservation. Then you think you're bigger than the team. You can't have that. All righty, we'll get phone calls here. Gabe in Rhode Island joins us. We'll check in with the NFL, their chief medical officer, Dr. Alan Sills. Are we good here? Moving into training camp. Everything good. What's the biggest concern for the NFL? So we'll talk to Doc. He'll join us coming up. We'll check in with the Pelicans a little bit later on, and the Dodgers, who last night played nice, played well, won in extra innings. Joe Kelly, if you would have said, who is the first person involved in the Astros cheating scandal to be suspended, I would not have picked Joe Kelly from the Dodgers. But he finally, baseball cracking down hard on that Astros cheating scandal. 8 games, which would be 22 games if we had a normal regular season. Look, I would have suspended him. I don't believe that he was wild. I believe there was intent there. But for that word, I would say to the commissioner of baseball, if you're going to sit him down for intent, the intention of hitting somebody, and he didn't hit anybody, can I sit down Astros for intent of cheating? They had intent. You may not have evidence. I have. There's intent there. Maybe you don't have all the proof. And I'm curious how the commissioner would answer that. Yes, Seton O'Connor.
That seems like an awfully slippery slope, though, doesn't it?
Yes.
I know I got no proof, but you intended to cheat.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well,
okay.
Joe Kelly sits down because his intentions.
But at least you have a ball flying past the dude's head.
Well,
that looked like you meant to hit him in the head.
Well, I got a garbage can banging I got sound.
Allegedly.
No.
Allegedly.
Okay. Has A.J. Hinch sued Major League Baseball for being fired? Or the Astros? Has the GM sued anybody? If there's no proof, just intent. Bang the drum slowly here. Yeah. But Joe Kelly, take that. 8 games. I would have suspended him, but this is what baseball's protecting the Astros again. By giving him 8 games, the next guy who throws or hits an Astros batter, what's he going to get? 8 games? Now, Kelly is a middle reliever, and the Dodgers can certainly survive without Joe Kelly. But the next pitcher who hits an Astro, baseball is still protecting the Astros. Gabe in Rhode Island. Sorry, Gabe. What do you have for me?
It's fine, DP. I don't think Zion's going to play tonight. I mean, look at what the NBA has done. They expanded the playoffs just for him. Do you really think that he's going to play? I think they're just trying to hang on to the fans who want to come see him play.
Yeah, but I think there's something else here. But thank you, Gabe. And no fans are coming to see him play. But as far as tuning in to watch tonight, yes. If Zion's playing, there'll be more people obviously tuning in. But, my point is, what am I missing here? Can he play a little bit? Is he not in shape? So how do I get him in shape? Do you want him to play 5 minutes each quarter? Feels like there's something else here. I mean, Zion wants to play, but he might not play. Yeah, McLovin.
So the NBA, didn't they overschedule the Pelicans terribly the first month?
Oh, yeah.
So he could screw them over twice.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they've loaded up. I mean, they basically, in my opinion, created this. Like this faux play-in to the playoffs. The Zion-offs. Yes, Paul.
Zion's first 3 games, Pelicans' first 3 games are on national TV. Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, they're facing the Clippers.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's a game-time decision here. Game-time decision. And, they got an easy schedule here. Their 8 opponents, their combined winning percentage is under 500. I was looking at the toughest road here. The Raptors have the toughest schedule of all the 22 teams in the bubble. Pelicans had the easiest, followed by the 76ers, Sacramento Kings, the Nets, Clippers, Celtics, Magic, Mavs. I don't know if it matters once you get in the bubble, not having home court advantage, or that home court advantage doesn't matter. But, our poll question the first hour was Lakers, Clippers, or the rest of the field. What were the percentages?
No, it was actually, would you rest Zion? I just switched it to, I'll give you the Lakers or the Clippers to win it all, or do you take the field, the Bucks, the Rockets, whoever else?
Yeah, I mean, I'd take Lakers, Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there one team that's a big threat to that?
Well, the Bucks are. And I don't know about the 76ers. 76ers could be either spectacular or a mess. One or the other. But I do think, in a strange way, having no fans will help your favorite shooter maybe feel a little more confident taking a three-pointer.
Well, they did move him to power forward. That should help. I mean, I don't know what he was doing out of point guard.
Yeah, but I don't know if they moved him to forward so he could get a little more separation from these guys who were guarding him, and then he could shoot the three. And I don't know what the philosophy is there with Brett Brown on how you position him, because he is a positionless player at 6'9", running the point, right? Yeah, McClellan.
On top of that, Embiid sort of told the press, I better get the ball a lot in the bubble. Any pass that doesn't go to Embiid, you're going to hear from him.
It's going to work out well here. Going to work out well. Yeah, Paulie.
I'm putting a little bet, $50 bet on a team to win the NBA title based off long odds. So definitely not a favorite. You want to guess the team I'm putting 50 on?
Not the Pelicans.
No. They are 40-27. They are the 7th seed in the West, but they are one game away from being
your Dallas Mavericks.
They played well as the season went along. They're the third best team in winning percentage. Like winning, they're plus 6-1 is they beat their opponents by 6 points a game.
Well, they're the highest scoring team in the league.
Yeah,
but
they're better, and they have a very good road record this year.
How do they play in Orlando?
$50 wins you $2,500, Dan. I'll cut you in.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's a good chunk of dough.
Yeah. Okay.
You want in on it?
No.
I'll cover your end.
No. I'm good.
If it hits, are you going to say, "Where's my?"
No. I never. If somebody wins, I don't begrudge anybody. Like if you win, good for you. No problem with that. All right, more phone calls coming up. We'll check in with the NFL. Are we good to go? Sounds like it. NFL players feeling a little more confident here, I guess. We'll talk to their chief medical doctor, Dr. Alan Sills. He'll join us coming up. We'll check in with the Pelicans. We'll check in with the Dodgers as well. 20 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. DraftKings. Our boys are back. DraftKings, final 22 teams. They've made their way to Orlando, getting ready to get back onto the court. And the ending to this year's basketball season will be a lot different in the past. No shortage of excitement. And you can be in all of the action thanks to DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. Now, I don't know if you tried fantasy basketball before. It's easy to play. What you do is you pick 8 players. You have a salary cap, and then you pile up points, three-pointers, rebounds, assists, and more. That's how you determine how well you've done that day. Download the DraftKings app now. Use the promo code SQUAD. You'll get a free shot at millions of dollars up for grabs this week with your first deposit. So promo code is SQUAD. You get free shot at millions of dollars with your first deposit. Only at DraftKings. The minimum is $5 deposit is required. Eligibility restrictions to apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Make sure you use the promo code SQUAD to get a free shot at millions of dollars.
They did a tribute to a classic rock band on his 25th anniversary of its breakout album. So I was expecting some old band to come out there, not realizing the dates and the time of 25 years. And they introduced Green Day as the old-time classic rock band who was getting their due.
Is Green Day classic rock?
Well, if you look at anything that's a quarter century old would be classic rock by default.
But like classic vinyl on Sirius.
I guess they're classic CD.
But so I wouldn't. Oh, I don't know if they have a classic CD channel. I think they have a cassette channel on Sirius. Yeah, Seton.
When I first started working in radio, I was interning at a classic rock station, and this was like 2000 maybe, something like that, and they were playing like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all of this stuff, and they basically said that the rule was once you get to about 10 years old, you can start playing it as classic rock.
Wow.
Yeah. And that made me feel, I was like, whoa, what? How are we playing, Pearl Jam right now? This is crazy.
Yeah, but I don't remember hearing on classic vinyl Pearl Jam or Nirvana. Yeah, McLovin.
Green Day's been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for 4 years now.
Yeah, no. I thought that was a little too soon.
It's 20 years for the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah,
from your first
I think
album.
so, yeah. Yeah.
Also, is Green Day that a clear-cut Rock and Roll Hall of Fame level band?
I don't know. Like they weren't what I gravitated towards, but I'm snobby when it comes to rock and roll, so I'm not a good judge on that. I mean, I know good music. I don't know. Is Weezer going to be in the Hall of Fame one day? I don't know. Yeah, Paul.
To give you an idea, 30 years ago is when Guns N' Roses broke. That's 3 decades ago, Guns N' Roses. I know they don't feel that old, but they're in their mid-50s.
But I would consider them more classic rock than I would Green Day.
Yeah, only by age. I'm not saying by genre, just by age. It's like a classic car is 20 plus years old.
Yeah. John in Illinois joins us. Hi, John. What do you have for me today?
6'3", 265.
All right.
Just so you know, Green Day is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Stay in your lane in sports. You're great in sports, but stay in your lane. You don't need to run your mouth about Green Day, longest touring punk rock band in American history. That alone sets them up. And if you listen to their music from the beginning to now, it's evolved into something great. Thanks, Dan. I love the show.
Hey, John. Didn't mean to offend you there. Wow.
Don't mess with that fan base, Dan. Told you.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
All right. Well, that means you can't call into a sports show, John, if I can't talk music. How about that?
Stay in your lane. Longest touring American punk rock band. Oh,
was John a musician? Was he in a band? I'm sorry. I like my my musical background here.
Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Okay, my bad.
Stay in your lane.
I just said that Green Day is not my kind of music. All right, that's all.
Uh-oh.
Billy Joe Armstrong? Dookie? Uh-oh, phone's ringing again. John's going to yell at me again.
Is that from the Illinois area, is it?
Yeah.
They have a passionate Green Day fan base.
312 area code. John going to track me down here. Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. It's the all-new GT 4-door coupe. Life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews this week or any week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, just go to danpatrick.com. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, Mercedes-AMG Driving Performance. He is the NFL Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Alan Sills, back on the program. Doc, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Dan. Thanks for having me back.
Is the NFL player safer in the bubble or in camp than the average citizen is?
I would say yes, Dan, because I think when we're in our camps and our facilities, we obviously have extensive protocols that cover every aspect of what we're doing. So we've put a tremendous amount of thought and energy and effort, as you know, together with the Players Association in creating the safest possible environment. So I think when you combine our screening, our testing program, all the interventions we put in place at our facilities, the way we've reimagined the day, I would say yes, people are much safer in that environment than they would be out working out in some other environment.
What has changed since the last time we talked?
Well, I think we continue to learn from the experience of other sports and just where the virus is going in general. You know, we've seen, for example, the CDC change some of their guidance about how we clear people and bring them back. We've learned more about persistent positive tests and how people can test positive for a very long time. So we're learning literally every day and certainly every week. But I think what hasn't changed is, you know, our commitment to being very, very diligent in every aspect of what we do. And I think there's also an increasing recognition on the part of all of our players, coaches, and staff. This is something we're going to have to do every single day. We got to be consistent, and we can't let our guard down, because as soon as we let our guard down, that's when bad things can happen to us as individuals and to teams and to the league as a whole.
What sport have you learned the most from?
Well, that's a tough one. You know what, we've learned from everybody, I think, because we've been in contact not just with North American sports, but around the world. We've talked a lot with Australian football, with World Rugby, with the Bundesliga, with the English Premier League. So I think everyone has contributed to our knowledge. And certainly I continue to communicate regularly with my colleagues in the NHL and Major League Baseball and the NBA and MLS. And I got to say, Dan, probably one of the gratifying things about this is you look at silver linings. It's been the level of cooperation and collaboration among all the leagues, because this isn't, you know, one team against the other or one league against the other. This is all of us against this virus. And so we've had more communication and collaboration than we've ever had, which has been, I think, a very positive thing and something that'll make us all better.
I know that you have to look at what-if scenarios, and I always start with the worst-case scenario and then work my way back. Let's say you have an outbreak like the Miami Marlins had. What is protocol?
Well, we look at those cases very carefully. We look at it together with the Players Association, with our infectious disease advisors, and we take whatever the safest steps are. So, you know, we've said that all options are on the table, including missing games or more than one game if necessary. But I think what you have to look at is each case is unique. It depends on how many people are infected, the time course, a lot of factors about that host city. So it's hard to give you an algorithm and say, well, it's this number or this number. But clearly we recognize that we're going to have to be flexible and adaptable throughout the whole season. And we'll have to respond to these challenges as we come up. And whatever we do, we're going to make the best decision that's in the interest of safety of everyone involved, players, coaches, staff, and our fans as well.
What troubled me with the Marlins situation, Doctor, is that you had the team voting on playing a game on Sunday after 4 players had tested positive. So they had a team member, a player making this decision. And I'm wondering about with the NFL, can you have a neutral party or somebody who's not with the organization who reports to you who's able to make these calls if a situation like that arises?
Yeah, well, I can't obviously speak to the specifics of that situation, Dan, but I would just say what we envision is if we had a situation arising with positive test results, obviously that gets immediately reported to the league, to the Players Association, and that would be a league determination. So again, I and my staff, conjunction with the Players Association, medical staff, our infectious disease experts, we put all our heads together and make what we think is the best decision in real time.
Any changes in the equipment? You talked about a face mask shield last time we talked. Where do we stand on that?
Yeah, we're still evolving that. So we're to the level now where players are back in camp and they can actually use it. And so we've distributed those across all our clubs. We're going to have players using them actively and giving feedback to the design engineers. And so I think you'll continue to see that product evolve and change. And we'll get to, subsequent versions of it. So we're still very excited about the idea. We think it will have a place on the field. And so we'll see as players use it more as they're getting into their camps. We're excited to kind of see where that whole project goes.
What about wearing a mask as we have to do in everyday life? Can a football player perform while wearing a mask, or do you have modifications to that mask for players?
Yeah, again, we've worked on a lot of different designs. There's sort of the neck gaiter type design that you can pull up that you've seen some people use as a face covering. I mean, we've had some players that have worn those in the league over the past few years, if you've seen that, in the pre-COVID era. So I think you'll see some players wearing that. There are obviously other mask options. And at the end of the day, again, I think you're going to see players adapt a lot of these different tools to increase their margin of safety. Certainly, you're going to see everybody else in and around the sideline, game officials. And at every time someone's not on the field performing, they're going to be in masks, because I think we've all learned one thing: masks work. They are absolutely key, and they're very essential to preventing transmission of this disease. So really, it's not an exaggeration to say the more time we spend in masks and the more people we get in masks, the better off we're all going to be.
But there's no mandate to have masks on players when they're practicing or in games.
We haven't reached that point of agreement yet with the players union. I think we'll see where this design takes us. And if we can get to a design we all feel comfortable, we might revisit that idea. But as of today, no, there's no mandate there.
Does the NFL want that?
Dan, I'm looking at everything that makes us safer. So I would certainly hope that we arrive at a design that offers protection and doesn't hinder performance. And I think if we do that, it would certainly be something I'd want to see everyone adopt. And I think if we can hit that sweet spot, if we can find something that does offer protection and does not hinder the way that guys breathe or communicate on the field, I have to believe that players would buy into that and they would want that, because at the end of the day, they want to be safe as well. And if we can do that in a way that doesn't hinder their performance, I believe it's something they'll all want to be a part of.
What team do you root for?
That's a loaded question. I always say, Dan, it's a little bit like your children. You love all your children. Some are easier to love than others, but no favorites. I'm just grateful to have the chance to work with all of them and really appreciative. And let me say this, all kidding aside, the amount of work that our teams have put into getting ready and opening these training camps, it's just phenomenal. We've seen every level of the staff just completely reimagine and redo their facilities. And I've talked one-on-one. I talk with head coaches every day. I mean, these are obviously people who are not usually wanting to change things. They've gone in and completely changed everything about their building and about the way they practice. So I just tip my hat to the work that's gone on. And we know there's a lot more work in front of us. It's going to be really hard, but I'm excited to see where this takes us.
Thank you, Doc. Maybe privately you'll tell me who is your favorite football team.
Hey, I can give you a college team. How about that? Will we go there?
Sure, why not?
Well, you can see behind me, I'm a Mississippi State grad, so I'm a Bulldog through and through. We'll go with that as my favorite team.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dan. Have a great day.
That's Dr. Alan Sills, the NFL Chief Medical Officer and neurosurgeon. Yeah, I'm not sure where we stand. I know that some of the marquee players, you had J.J. Watt, who said he didn't want to wear a mask. You know, I'm sure you don't want to wear a mask, but that doesn't mean you're not going to wear a mask or it wouldn't be the smart thing to do in that situation. So, you know, there's judging from what Peter King had to say about the Vikings, their situation at their training camp, he was extremely impressed with all of the safety precautions, safeguards that they had there. I hope that the NFL is learning from all these other sports and what could happen. But all it takes is a Marlins breakout. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to have a team not be fully assembled. And then do they forfeit a game? Are we postponing games? Can't do double headers. By the way, I heard this yesterday. Baseball is looking at 7-inning doubleheaders. If the Marlins got to make up games, the Orioles got to make up games, Phillies, Yankees, they got to make up games. Can you do 7-inning doubleheaders? That is something that baseball is now looking at. I don't know why baseball didn't go, what's the worst case scenario? Now let's work our way back. Instead of saying, hey, things look good. Hey, we'll adapt when we have to. I always start at the very end and then work my way back. If a team loses their quarterback, backup quarterback as well, then what happens? If a team has 5 players that test positive, how long are they in quarantine? If you have a game, they test positive on a Saturday like the Marlins did, and then you still decide to play on Sunday. Those are the things that I would want to know. What are the alternative plans here? And baseball, if you had a game that was going to be postponed, even if it was rain, are you going to make it up? Can you make it up? And what about a doubleheader? They want to expedite extra inning games, and that's why they've started with a runner on second base. So why not expedite doubleheaders and have 7-inning doubleheaders, 7-inning games? But you can't say, hey, baseball's thinking about a 7-inning game, 7-inning games for doubleheaders. Give me worst case scenario. That's why when somebody goes, got good news, bad news, I always go, give me the bad news. Let me have it. Let me have it. I mean, if you said, hey, we're going to do one game that's 7 innings and then the next game will be decided by home run derby. Okay. At least you've thought of this. I just get worried that baseball, it doesn't, like they think in the short term. Hey, we're just dealing with this right here. If they were thinking long term, they would have said to the Marlins, guys, you're not playing on Sunday. That's it. Not playing. But they didn't do it. And you let your shortstop decide. Let's go around the room. Who wants to play? I. Like, who's going to say, and they texted one another, who's going to say, no, I don't feel safe? Oh, boy. Hopefully we can make this all work. But I hope these leagues are looking at worst case scenario just in case something happens. Because chances are it probably will. We've talked about the NBA with the bubble, and it feels like they've done a great job here. I always worried about those who were leaving the bubble on a daily basis and coming back in, who worked at the hotels, worked at the restaurants, handled the food, cleaned up after everybody. That was my big concern. What are the precautions that they're taking with them? Once you're in the bubble, then I feel like you're safe. As long as you are not going to be around people who haven't been in the bubble on a regular basis and tested constantly. You're only as strong as your weakest link. And that would be my big concern with that. With baseball, it feels like they're making this up as they go along. Football got a better handle on it, it feels like. And then you have college football. And I don't think college football has a good handle on this. And the biggest reason why is the players don't have a union. There's nobody representing college football players. They have no voice in this. And then you have the president of the NCAA, who has no real voice. The emperor has no clothes. Mark Emmert is just a guy who, hey, we got to have a president of the NCAA. Okay. Good luck with that. What power does he really have here? And those players have no voice. And those are players who aren't getting paid. Now, you can say they're getting a scholarship. They're not getting paid to go and play football. The pressure on a college football player is enormous because the amount of money that's at stake for those universities affects all of their other athletic departments based off of football. You got to play. You got to show up. Even if students are on campus, you're coming back. A lot of pressure and no voice. And that concerns me. The players have never had a voice. Northwestern tried to unionize back in, I think, 2014. And I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. Maybe if we get to the Power 5 conferences, that you do have a commissioner of the Power 5, and then maybe you have a players association, a union for these college football players. Because I know of 2 instances where players had scholarships at Big Ten schools. New coach comes in, and he doesn't want them on scholarship, and he runs them off. Like, you have no representation there. These were 2 players, and I met their families separately, and they told the same story because they wanted somebody to hear what happens. We forget about the college football player. When it's said and it's done, your career's over, we don't care what happened to you. There's no follow-up health-wise. There's so many of these players, former players, who are walking around that have, CTE, that have had concussions. There's nobody there to help them. And I hope that, college athletics, certainly college football, the Power 5 conferences, understand that and give these players a voice before there is a revolt one day. We'll take a break. Your phone calls are coming up. We'll check in with the Pelicans on Zion Williamson. Why is it a game-time decision? And is it going to be a game-time decision the next game as well? That's coming up. Dan Patrick Show.
I was perusing Twitter last night, as I'm known to do.
You are known to do that.
And, I follow all the classic rock bands. And I was going through, and all of a sudden, this showed up. Look who retweeted Paulie.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
That's about as good as it gets.
I think that is as good as it gets.
That's about as good as it gets.
Tweet off.
Picture is a rare moment.
That's almost frameable.
The words
hang
make
in
it
the
better.
house, hang on a wall.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Did you like the line, Seaton?
Oh, it's a great line, yeah.
You have to consider framing that and putting that in the home office.
That's pretty tremendous.
This picture is a rare moment where Geddy Lee took a break from kicking ass. I saw that last time. I was like, wait, what? Hold on.
Happy birthday, Geddy.
I had that moment where your head kind of goes, does this thing?
Yeah.
I put my glasses on.
A rush retweet, man.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Ball game.
Pretty good.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. What's next? I mean, where do you go from here?
Nowhere.
I don't know. Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
That's strong.
That was exciting. My wife didn't celebrate quite as hard as I did. I was like, hey, look at this. She goes, oh, that's sweet. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, whoa.
No. Hold up.
Soak this in.
Did you check at Rush the Band to make sure that was like an official verified retweet? That wasn't some fan
I didn't want to be. I still don't know if
it doesn't matter.
I still don't know if it's an actual Rush the
I'm
Band.
hoping it is.
But I'll take it.
I like when you click on it, it says, this is not an official, we have nothing to do with Rush, we just like them very much.
This would be like John Elway.
Oh, totally.
Responding.
If Elway or Darryl
Well,
Hall.
yeah, Hall and Oates. Yeah.
Hall and Oates.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, Hall.
Specifically Hall.
If Oates.
Yeah.
Oates.
Oates would be like your cousin saying, I like what you put on social media. That's
Yeah.
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel would be big. That would probably be top 3 right there. Elway, Darryl Hall, Billy Joel. Oates would be very low on the totem pole. But that's something.
Thanks.
Well, is this the day my cameraman Weeks gets advice? It's spelled W-E-A-K-S. That's how he spells his name, Weeks. So, hole in one, Weeks gets fired.
I have a question. If you hit a hole-in-one on a Thursday, can we let him finish out Friday so he could participate and meet Friday? Only on Thursday. Think about it.
You just want to get the one that runs up there, because I keep flying it too deep. God, does Weeks live another day? No.
Come on, focus.
Okay. Damn it. Would you break? Sounds expensive. Damn. I was firing darts earlier today, and my glutes aren't firing. Remember when Tiger's glutes weren't firing?
Yeah.
My glutes.
See that?
Oh, God.
What's going on with the spin on that ball?
It's side spin. It's not good.
Yeah.
Aim 3 inches to your right.
You need a hand, Andy?
There. That's going to start sucking back.
Nope.
If you get that bounce there, you can get a comeback.
Damn it. This is it right here.
This is where Weeks gets fired.
Or I get naked.
If you get that kick left.
Nope. This is a pathetic. My glutes aren't firing. That's what it is.
We should Weeks. You may want to change your game.
You might want to see what Andy just broke. Oh no!
That's the next segment. Is what Andy just breaking.
what did McLovin just break?
Our partition got moved over.
How did it get moved over, Andy?
I think every day after you leave, Todd slowly inches it. Yeah, to get a little more room, because we know you like to spread out and get your stuff going. He slowly inches it over to your side.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how it got moved over.
Did you hit something and then it fell, or
No,
did it just fall on its own?
Oh,
remember when Todd broke the Aaron Judge bobblehead, and then he didn't take blame for it? He said that his chair hit it, not him.
With you in the chair.
Oh.
how did this happen?
How about Notre Dame to the ACC? Interesting. Just for now. That's a big coup for the ACC. Also, the ACC kind of got out in front of the SEC and these other conferences yesterday. The ACC kind of forced Notre Dame to come on in, the proud independent, since they started playing football in 1887. And this is good for the ACC, because you're going to be on NBC, get part of that TV revenue. And then USC lost Wisconsin, Stanford, and USC. And do they go back to being a normal independent in 2021? Also, the ACC got out in front of the SEC on scheduling. And they did leave one game open, if that's going to be an ACC, SEC type of game. Like Georgia Tech, Georgia. Clemson, South Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky, Florida State. I thought that that was pretty strategic of the ACC with some of the things that they did yesterday. But we'll find out how this is really, all these conferences are out for themselves. You know, you got that feeling that back in April, hey, we're going to all figure this out together. This is about looking out for your own. That's it. This is because, I thought the SEC would just basically say, hey, we're the SEC. We're just going to have our own schedule, and we'll play if other teams aren't playing and other conferences aren't playing, so what? SEC is going to play. That's basically what the ACC said yesterday is, hey, we're going to play. We got our schedule. We got Notre Dame here. We're good to go. And now it's up to, the Big 12, Pac-12, Big 10, SEC. That's it. Bernard in California joins us. Bernard?
Hey, Dan, I just had a question about the NFL and the schedule.
Okay.
With the quarantine period, why not play alternating weeks with the NFC and AFC and play every 2 weeks? That gives a chance for, if any outbreaks, you still have games available for the fans.
It's just too long of a season, but thanks for the phone call. Yeah, they know when they want to start and when they want to finish. I do know that there is wiggle room of a month. Whether you start the season a month later, if you stop down, if you extend the postseason or the postseason starts later, but you have until, I think, the first week in March that they would look at this. Also, we talk about spring football as a possibility for some of these colleges. The major schools, the power schools, can't wait until springtime because I think you'll find some players that are just going to say, I'm not going to play football in the spring. Plus, could you have 2 college football seasons in a span of 9 months? If you start playing football in February and March, and then you're going to turn back around in August and September, I don't see that happening. But the Ivy League is probably going to do that, it looks like, and some of these other smaller conferences. But it feels like, they don't have players getting ready for the combine or the draft. They're not big revenue-producing sports for those schools. But, that's another thing that was brought up to me yesterday. Do you imagine if Trevor Lawrence says, I'm not going to play? If Justin Fields from Ohio State says, I'm not going to play? Like, those are 2 really big names here. And you wonder what would happen if those players decided not to play, how many else would follow suit? Or we're going to delay the start of the college football season, and now we're going to be playing later than January, and then getting ready for the combine, getting ready for the draft, and I wonder the number of players who would opt out. Yeah, Paulie.
I was wondering about that Virginia Tech cornerback decided to sit out the season and focus on the draft. And if they delayed the college football season, let's say they said, we're starting October 1st, it gives all the high-end players, the top draftees, a chance to talk to their people, talk to an agent off the record and say, hey, can I get my money now? Can I sign with you now and just tap out?
Yeah, this, I don't know. Is this a first-round draft pick with Virginia Tech?
I think they're saying late first round for Kuiper's big board or whatever.
What's his name? Caleb, oh, gosh.
Farley?
Caleb Farley. Yeah, because Todd started doing his Chris Farley impersonation once we brought his name up.
Stop throwing eggs! You're not going to melt to jack! Squawk!
That's Coach Foley, right?
It's Coach Foley. Like Matt Foley.
Matt Foley. I guess he's listed as one of the top 3 cornerbacks, and he's not going to play this year. Thank you, Todd.
And supposedly he lives in a van down by the river, so he wants to get his money for his family as quickly as possible.
Jeff in Detroit joins us. Good morning, Jeff.
What up, though? Dan, one time for Chat Row. Love the song, Tyler. It just has a real catchy tone to it. I found myself singing it. Listen, you guys were talking about National Narc Day. I got a quick story for you. Ultimate Narc, best of all time. His name was his code name was Parker Brothers because he was gonna put you up on game. I got assigned to a unit in 2002 with the Detroit Police Department Drug Task Force. Here we are taking out all of these spots. We were getting great intel, getting dope off the street, getting guns off the street from this guy who was named Mr. Parker Brothers. So, everything seems like it was going good. Next thing you know, we look around the neighborhood, we damn near cleaned the entire hood up. But it was one particular house that was still putting in work. So, we get a warrant. It had never appeared on our list. Go ahead and hit the house. Come to find out, Parker brother had did everything because everything was around him due to the Detroit police.
No, you're breaking up, Jeff. I think what he said is that Parker Brothers basically turned on everybody and he cleaned up the neighborhood.
Cleaned out the whole neighborhood except for himself.
All of his competition. Thank you, Jeff. Final hour coming up. Check in with the Pelicans and the Dodgers. We like to congratulate all the bands that are in the Hall of Fame, especially Green Day, of course.
It's funny. Now you're going to have a bad view of Green Day because of that call. And you don't care.
No, I don't care. I mean, I listened to them being interviewed on Howard Stern. I thought they were great. Thought they came off great. That was just not my music. I got to stay in my lane. Who are you, LeVar Ball here? Stay in my lane? All right.
Don't run your mouth about Green Day as a direct quote, Dan. Direct quote.
I'm not running my mouth about Green Day.
Not anymore, you're not.
No, I'm not going to. Man.
That's just made my day. It really did. I'm going to have a smile on my face the rest of the day thinking about that guy.
Yeah. Stay in my lane.
He was so upset he had to call in to tell you that.
And then he hung up. He didn't even wait. He was like, that was a walk-off there. Mission accomplished.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'd put that talking hairdo in his place.
Okay, hold up. Stay in your lane.
Don't run your mouth on Green Day. I didn't know.
Don't mess with Limp Bizkit either.
Oh, dear.
Mario's all disappointed. He's upset. He goes, that guy didn't tell me he was going to tell you to stay in your lane.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah. They never do tell you, Mario.
Classic call screener line.
Yeah. Great. Hey, I didn't know he was going to yell at you. Yes, McLovin.
There's nothing more punk rock than touring for 25 years because you're living such a hard life. I mean, if there's any doubt about what a bunch of phonies they are, 25 years of doing it.
Whoa.
Out of your lane.
I'm
out of my lane.
I'm going to tell you to stay in your lane.
Velvet Underground didn't tour for 25 years.
They broke up in 2 years. How long did the Sex Pistols last?
Die early like a respectable punk rock lead singer.
Exactly.
How dare you guys survive? You know?
Run a thriving business.
Yeah.
A good family.
Successful.
It's kind of true that it really isn't very punk rock.
I know.
Longest touring punk rock band. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Just by the sheer nature of being punk, you don't tour that long.
I mean, like Bad Religion's been touring for what seems like 55 years. How could they possibly be the longest?
McLovin, what did you learn?
I learned that in your lane you must stay, Dan.
Yes,
Patrick.
I must. Seton O'Connor.
Yeah, stay in your lane,
I
Dan.
I will.
Only when it comes to Green Day, though.
I know. Oh, Paulie, what did I learn?
Don't run your mouth about Green Day on my watch.
Okay.
Big Daddy.
All right.
Okay. So, team you hate the most?
We'll just go Saints.
Saints? Okay. All right. So, Paulie, you're going to be blocking. Clay, whatever it takes to get around Paulie, whatever you need to do.
All right.
All right. Are you ready, Paulie?
Yeah.
Down, sit. I like that.
I still got it.
I like that.
Still got it.
At 26, you still got it, Clay.
Oh man, it's like a crash cart, like a ER. When they do that thing, go boop.
You're our crash test dummy.
I had you for a second.
Yeah, you got up on me, but unfortunately, you let your actually what I did was I hit you with the one-arm stab real quick. He started leaning on me. I gave you a quick, quick arm over, and it was over.
How much did I slow you down though? Really, would you have gotten?
Probably not a lot. He probably wouldn't have had time to set up.
I would have had to have been Michael Vick if I was going to get away from it.
Colin Kaepernick.
I didn't want to bring that up.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring that up.
Go there,
Because I'm built more like Kaepernick, like a daddy long legs. Yeah.
I give you some air. Does he have one of those oxygen things?
Are you all right?
Yeah, that's good.
You sure?
Yeah, you got a lot of hand there, but you wanted it.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm glad you popped it. Thank you, buddy. See you, man. Holy, that had a pop to it.
That was a good one.
That had a pop.
That's not MMA training. You didn't want any of that, but I had to give you a little bit.
Yesterday I get crushed by a guy in an Argyle sweater. Today, a guy in a V-neck sweater. It's like a trend.
I like that.
I was not expecting. He got me right in the.
Oh, was your chest
right in the sternum.
I thought I heard a snap.
No. There was nothing fake about that when I went down. All my air left my body.
That might be Is that the hardest shot you've taken?
That's the hardest shot I've taken.
Yeah. That was.
Oh man. Whew.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
The benches are beginning to clear. It goes without saying there's not a whole lot of social distancing going on at the moment.
Where does Major League Baseball stand on the retaliation with the Houston Astros?
Dan, intent is a really funny thing because how do you know? Joe Kelly's the guy who during quarantine broke a window at his house trying to throw a changeup.
Do you think he did it on purpose just to give the appearance that he's wild, so when he faced...
It would be the most spectacular long con of all time, and I absolutely hope that that is true.
The biggest guest list and the best sports talk on radio.
If you're the Dodgers, you can't be worried about these little battles. You got to win a war, and you have to win the World Series. The best retaliation is to win.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Final hour on this Thursday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Check in with the Dodgers after last night's win over the Astros, and it looks like they've moved on. Joe Kelly getting 8 games, which would be equivalent to 22 games if we had a 162-game schedule. But I'm glad that we finally have somebody suspended for that 2017 cheating scandal by the Astros. I just want to talk to the commissioner and say it feels like you're still protecting the Astros because that's a heavy punishment to hand down to Joe Kelly. Did he deserve to be suspended? Absolutely. What the commissioner is saying, in my opinion, is if anybody else goes headhunting with the Astros, this is what you're getting. Joe Kelly will appeal. They'll probably knock it down to 5 or 6 games. But he is saying, in very strong words, if you go after the Astros, you're going to face this kind of punishment there. Notre Dame jumps into the ACC, at least for 2020, and I think it's a win for both. You got Jazz Pelicans tonight, Clippers and the Lakers. We say good morning to Chat Row. Also, those watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show and listening on the Fox Sports Radio lineup, numbering 362 affiliates. I mentioned the Jazz and the Pelicans. I've been talking about this all morning long. That Zion Williamson is a game-time decision, even though Zion yesterday said, hey, I want to play, but we got to do what's best for me and the team. Ben Golliver, he covers the Washington Post, NBA, national writer, and he joins us now. All right, we got 7 hours to tip off. Is Zion Williamson playing tonight for the Pelicans, Ben?
Well, like you said, game-time decision. Very strange situation. He obviously left the bubble a couple of weeks ago to attend to what they're calling a family emergency. We've got no real details about that. He didn't meet with the media until yesterday, Wednesday, for the first time since he's been down here. You know, at that point, his body language was loose. He was smiling. He was kind of joking, said he was ready to go if he needed to play the entire game. So based on that scene alone, I would assume he would be a go. But it's just another strange chapter for him. It seems like he's always dealing with these medical questions. Is he in? Is there going to be a minutes limit? It's kind of dogged him his entire rookie season.
Have you heard of any health issues?
No, and he said he felt fine. He actually said he felt better now than he did in March, before the shutdown. Of course, they're trying to be completely cautious with him. I think that they realized that they probably got spooked, frankly, by the October knee surgery that he went through before he even played a game. It's a situation where this guy's your franchise player, you're the number 1 pick. You've invested so much in him. But I also think there's a lot of pressure on him to play right now, right? I mean, you look at the NBA, they invited 22 teams down here, mainly so they had an excuse to get Zion on television. I think 6 of his first 7 games are on national television, TNT tonight, ESPN on Sunday night. So if he's not there, there's going to be a big hole in the programming.
Do you think if I got an honest answer from the Pelicans front office, if they wanted to be there in the bubble on the outside looking in, maybe not even making it into the playoffs, would they have opted to stay in New Orleans?
I don't know. I think a lot of teams are glad to be down here, even if they don't have a championship to play for necessarily. If you talk to some of the executives for teams who aren't here, there's a lot of concern that FOMO, right? They're missing out. They're not getting the developmental opportunities. They're maybe trying to have this second tournament somewhere where they could actually get some time to see their players and have them compete in some scrimmages. But these guys have already been going for 2 weeks. A lot of these teams look a lot better than I thought they would. I was expecting choppy, ugly basketball kind of across the board. And it seems like they've been able to, get their chemistry right here on a pretty quick timeline. So I think for a team in their situation, it's always good to build buzz. You have to get the chemistry from your young core too, whether it's Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. Those guys were really starting to gel after Zion coming back. So I'm sure they're glad to be playing, but it does put a lot of pressure on them to keep Zion healthy. and to make sure that this doesn't wind up, sidetracking their future.
Is it just a coincidence that the Pelicans' schedule in the bubble is the easiest schedule of all 22 teams, Ben?
Well, it's owing to their schedule before they got here being one of the toughest in the league, right? And so there's a few different ways they assembled the schedule, but they started with taking whichever teams you had left on your schedule. Those would be the first 8 teams you would play. So it's not entirely coincidental because, there is a little bit of adjustment here and there, but they had a really tough schedule early in the season. People might forget they lost 13 straight games at one point earlier in the year. And Alvin Gentry keeps harping on that as a sign of his team's mental toughness because they could have just fallen apart at that point, and they didn't. They stuck around until Zion got back. So I think that they were hoping to have an even easier schedule, frankly, because a lot of the teams they were going to play down the stretch just didn't even get invited here.
Yeah, I just don't understand the game time decision because what happens with the next game? Is that a game? What is the decision? What is the decision based off of? If it's limiting his minutes, okay, put him in the lineup, let him play 5 minutes each quarter or 4 minutes each quarter. Let him play the first half or something. That's where I'm not sure I understand what's going on here.
It does feel unnecessarily complicated. There's no question. I think part of their hesitation was that because of the way the quarantine period worked, he wasn't able to come back and go through a full practice, like a full contact 5-on-5 practice on either Tuesday or Wednesday. So he's only sort of done light stuff with his teammates here over the last 2 weeks. It's really been almost, more than 2 weeks at this point where he's gone through the full practice. So I think that's kind of the hang up, or there's just something that they're not telling us. I mean, those are kind of your two options. To me, for a player of this magnitude, it's not going to last like this forever, Dan. You know how this goes. He's going to become 21, 22 years old, and he's going to say, you know what, I respect your health protocols and all that, but I'm in charge here. I'm the show, and I want to play. And he's not there yet. He was kind of smiling and smirking through all the game time stuff yesterday. He did say he's a hooper and he wants to play kind of no matter what. And I think that that's going to become a driving theme for him going forward. Is like he's going to want to be in control of his own availability.
How much pressure is on LeBron?
Oh, LeBron's got a lot of pressure, but he's also got the most to possibly gain here, right? I mean, think about this opportunity where he could get a 4th ring. I don't think people would hit him with the Astros talk because he's won before in Miami. He's won before in Cleveland. So he comes down here. If he winds up winning this thing in Orlando, his 4th title, his 3rd with a different franchise, another Finals MVP possibly to add to the mix. It just adds to his legacy, especially when you factor in just the incredible emotional turmoil that franchise has gone through with this season, whether it's the Kobe Bryant factor or everything else. To me, I think he winds up being one of the guys who's down here the most focused, but also looking to make a statement off the court too. We already heard extended comments from him about Breonna Taylor that went all over the internet, millions of views after a scrimmage game. I know these players are planning a lot of different things on the Black Lives Matters front. And again, I think LeBron winds up having a lot to gain there too, being seen as a leader both on and off the court.
More confidence in Kawhi or LeBron?
Kawhi has not looked good down here yet. I don't know. Again, he likes to sometimes, sabotage expectations a little bit. He likes to do the load management thing. He likes to maybe not bring his A game off the top. But if you're saying which of those 3 guys, if it's LeBron, Kawhi, or Giannis, who's looked the best here, Kawhi would be a distant 3rd. I mean, both LeBron and Giannis came out with points to prove during the scrimmages. I mean, Milwaukee's running up these crazy blowout victories in meaningless scrimmages. And you're like, okay, this team's on a mission. And the Clippers, to me, they're a giant question, not just because of Kawhi. Lou Williams has the Magic City detour. Patrick Beverley and Montrezl Harrell have both had issues that cause them, to kind of miss time or to not be available. So I think that they're playing the long game here. The Clippers are trying to pace themselves over the course of the next 2 or 3 months. Whereas the Lakers, I do feel like they tried to come out and really make a statement early.
I'm trying to figure out Kawhi Leonard, and I'm not alone, of course, but does he think he's better than LeBron? Does he have a rival? Does he care about his legacy? I don't know much about him.
No, it's a strange thing. One of the best parts about the bubble, Dan, is I don't have to wait for an hour and a half after games for him to talk for 5 minutes because they just do it quick now because the players have to get back to their hotel where they shower. So we only have to wait 5 minutes for him to talk for 5 minutes and really not say anything. I do think he thinks he's the best player in basketball, though. If you look at his New Balance commercials, there was a lot of subtle jabs at LeBron, kind of calling himself the king of LA. They put up billboards near Staples Center saying the same thing. The throne is his kind of right now. If you go back to last season's sensational postseason run with the Toronto Raptors, and he was really good during the regular season too. I think people just assume he misses tons and tons of times because of injury, but that really wasn't the case this year. I mean, he put up, monster numbers and was a very consistent, reliable force for the Clippers. And I think that this whole playoffs, if everybody stays healthy, it's really setting up as like rock, paper, scissors, LeBron, Giannis, or Kawhi. Which one of those guys is going to be the best player in basketball? Which one of those teams is going to win the title? That's how I see it kind of heading into opening night.
That's good. Have you used rock, paper, scissors in one of your columns?
Not yet, but maybe I'm giving you the first version. I'm running the draft by you, all right?
No, I like it. Do you get to cover the games in person tonight?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very strange situation here. We have great seats. We're basically 10 feet from the action. We could hear guys talking. We heard LeBron call himself the baddest man on the planet after dunking during a scrimmage. I heard Giannis going after a referee saying, that wasn't an offensive foul call. I dunked through him. What are you talking about?
Can you quote, though, Ben, what you hear on the floor? Can you quote that?
Certainly can. I'm going to be judicious. I'm going to try to we have young listeners reading tweets, right? But certainly, yeah, I think it's fair game at this point. I've seen other writers do that. I especially think if it's a newsworthy situation, like if there's a flagrant foul or if there's an argument back and forth, somebody gets ejected. I think at that point, it winds up being completely fair game from a journalism standpoint. But the environment's really weird. There's obviously no fans in attendance. There's fewer than 200 people, even at the main gym they've constructed down here. So you think about when was the last time LeBron played a basketball game in front of fewer than 200 people? He was probably in fourth grade. It's been a long, long time. So, there's been adjustments. The players are already used to it, though. They've said, it feels a little bit like a pickup environment. All the video boards and other graphics and sounds they've set up doesn't really throw them off. And so, we'll see if that's how it plays out tonight, too. They've had the dress rehearsals. Now we'll see if everything goes right according to plan.
Great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us, Ben. I'm glad you cleaned up your room, too. It's really nice of you.
I tried, just for you, all right?
Yeah, Mom could be watching. She wants to make sure that you're cleaning up. Make your bed next time, Ben. Thanks for joining us.
All right, take care.
That's Ben Golliver. He covers the NBA for the Washington Post. Good appearance there for Ben. Alan, our IT guy, when Ben called in, he was like, Dan may ask you to show us your room there. You might want to clean it up. So he got off of his Zoom and then started cleaning up his room a little bit there. All righty. So we got a poll question. We'll check in with the Dodgers coming up. So Jazz, Pelicans, Clippers, Lakers coming up. Anything else? I did mention the top 100 players that everybody is breathlessly talking about here. That Lamar Jackson's the number one player in the NFL, as voted on by the players in the NFL. This isn't one of those that I can blame the media. I'm not even blaming the players. If the players think Lamar Jackson's the best player, I'm okay with that. But I would say this. Well, I did say this. If I said to all the players in the NFL, who do you want as your quarterback? Is Lamar Jackson going to win that vote as well? And I don't think he will. Now, he should if he's the number one player in the NFL as voted on and revealed by the NFL Network. And if it's not Lamar Jackson, then you're supposed to take Russell Wilson. He's second on that list. Patrick Mahomes is fourth, same position as he was last year. I'm surprised Christian McCaffrey is sixth on the list. George Kittle is seventh. DeAndre Hopkins is eighth. Derrick Henry was 10. Do we know where Derrick Henry was a year ago, McLovin? Because that is a pretty big jump there. Drew Brees was second on this list last year. He's now 12th. Aaron Rodgers dropped. Nick Bosa jumped up there a little bit. Khalil Mack was high on the list last year. He's dropped. Deshaun Watson will probably be in the top 15 next year. He's 20th right now. Dalvin Cook is there. Tyreek Hill. Zeke Elliott, 24th. But I know the Kansas City Chiefs fans, they're upset because Patrick Mahomes is fourth on the list. That shouldn't upset you. Who cares? Okay. He's fourth on the list. You still have him for another decade, and you just won the Super Bowl. Yes, McLevin?
So Derrick Henry's 99.
He went from
2019.
Is that the biggest jump of any player? From 99 to 10?
Yeah, it's got to be, right? Unless there's somebody who wasn't on the list at all.
Isn't he the same player as he was the previous year?
Obviously not. Kittle probably jumped pretty big.
Kittle, that's a big leap there. The 7th overall. He's going to get paid. I think he's they're talking about his contract. Yeah, but Kittle's.
Oh, actually, Kittle was 29 in 2019. That surprises me. People love them some George Kittle.
Well, I think that he got, you had your playoff run. Also, he's an interesting personality. And I think that people became more aware of him.
But how was he 29 the year before?
I didn't vote on this.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised because I feel like it all happened for him this year.
I got Jimmy Garoppolo is 43rd on this. And I had somebody yesterday, NFL personnel person, say, "What do you got against Jimmy Garoppolo?" I go, "I don't have anything against him. I just don't see greatness." And I said, if he's so great, why did his own coaching staff and GM kick the tires on Tom Brady? Houston didn't do that with Deshaun Watson. Kansas City didn't do that. Baltimore didn't do that. Seattle didn't do it. And this is a Super Bowl team, and they were thinking about bringing in Tom Brady. I don't get it. I don't get it with Jimmy Garoppolo. And maybe he, shuts me up and throws for 30 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But, they've got, I'm trying to think who else is, what other quarterbacks are. Kirk Cousins is lower on the list. Any other quarterbacks in there? I mean, if you said that I could have Kyler Murray or Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm taking Kyler Murray. Now, I wouldn't take Josh Allen over him or Sam Darnold and some of these other players, but at his age, how old is Garoppolo? 27 or 28? So you get to that point, you kind of figure out who the quarterback is. Your big leap is your rookie year to like your second or third year. Do you make that, seismic shift, and then we see greatness? We see potential, then we see the actual greatness there. That's what I would. We saw that with Lamar Jackson. There's potential, then you saw greatness. Patrick Mahomes, potential, then you saw greatness. And I want to know, what are we going to? I already think we've seen who Jimmy Garoppolo is. Yeah, Paul.
But it's the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, if he throws for 2 more first downs in the fourth quarter and has a ring, put him up 20 more spots. They would ignore his stats in the Super Bowl and say, look, he fought through it. And in his first big appearance on the big stage, blah, 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 2 more first downs, and it's a totally different perception.
Okay, if that's the case, then Jared Goff, if he won the Super Bowl against the Patriots, he's not on the list.
He would be where Patrick Mahomes is.
No. He wouldn't be 4.
I'm saying that season, remember, he had that unbelievable regular season, and then the Rams cooled off in the Super Bowl and had no offense. Yeah. Everyone jumped off the Rams bandwagon. If it went the other way in that Super Bowl, Goff would be...
Jimmy G is 28. He'll be 29 in November. Yes, McLovin.
I'm sensing if you do have an issue with it, is it because your wife said you'd get kicked to the curb for Jimmy G, like my wife said?
No.
I mean, if it's a looks thing, Jimmy G is top 100, easy, top 10.
No, my wife doesn't watch sports, so she wouldn't know. But if Clive Owen came in, was delivering a UPS package, then she might say, "Can I get you some coffee?"
Not during the Super Bowl?
Can I mop your brow?
During the Super Bowl, did she see Jimmy G at all?
No.
Brady doesn't do anything for her?
Look.
Yeah.
Look at who she wakes up to. Look. Come on. Look.
Folks.
Look. Folks.
Okay.
Folks. Look who my wife wakes up to every day. Folks.
Okay. Look. I mean, look at me.
Terrible job out of her. Why'd she look at you?
Now, Mike Francesa's retired, Seton. You got to kind of keep your Mike Francesa impression going.
Yeah. Okay, folks. Okay. Benny Agbayani.
Okay, there's a couple of them. When he did the Detroit Tigers relief pitcher.
Oh, Albert Albuquerque.
So there was a pitcher named Al Albuquerque, and a caller called up and said to Mike Francesa, the legendary New York sports radio host, what did you think of Al Albuquerque? And then he said, "There's nobody named Al Albuquerque."
Oh, folks, okay, what's a silly time? Okay, what's a silly time? We're gonna call in with this stuff. Okay, folks.
Al Albuquerque, and then he realizes that there is an Al Albuquerque. He goes, "Oh, Albert Albuquerque."
And it's Al. It's not Albert. I looked it up.
Yeah, there is no Albuquerque. Yeah, McLovin.
Hadn't he just pitched against Yankees in
Yes.
a playoff game the day before?
Tonight.
The night before.
Albert Albuquerque. Oh, God. And then he would go through the schedule each year, him and Chris Russo, Mad Dog, and they would go through the Giants schedule. That's a win. That's a loss. That's a loss. That's a win. That's a loss. So they would do that, and then they would do the Jets schedule. So they would be predicting what the team.
Buffalo on the 12th.
That's a loss. That's a loss. Yes, McLovin.
Remember before the internet, he would have Eddie go get the book, and there'd be like 2 minutes of silence.
Oh, my gosh.
Eddie's getting the book.
His producer would go get the book. And then you would just hear this, nothing. Okay, all right. Okay.
What was the book? Is it just some big stat book?
The baseball reference book.
Yeah.
It used to come out every year. It's 1,500 pages, and that's how you check stats.
Go
Now,
get the book. Go get the book. That's a win. It's a loss. It's a loss. We'll take a break. We'll check in with the man. I don't know how we got sidetracked, but I'm glad we did. Oh, I was doing my Mike Francesa impersonation while talking about how hot I am.
Apparently in bed, yes.
Yeah. Folks. All right, we'll take a break. I'll try to erase that image. Sorry about that. We'll check in with the Dodgers right after this. It's 22 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. I'm going to drop the microphone down in here just so we don't ruin it like we did the last time.
Aaron Paul just walked in. I don't know what.
Yeah. Is this where
Yeah, I'm going to
I'm gonna just place this on Dan's face and sort of smush it in.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to know when it's coming, or do you not want to know when it's coming? Like Seton, start getting ready.
Well, but like so wait, am I supposed to just?
I think so. Not ready. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Somebody unwrap.
Did I jump the gun on that at all, or?
Yeah.
Oh.
I sort of made a mistake. I forgot to change out my Johnny O shirt that I have.
Oh.
It got a little underneath.
Yeah, it did. Hey, let me look and see who got me. Oh!
It could have been a lot worse.
Okay.
That's
all right.
That's not bad. That'll clean up.
Just took a bite of the face from Seton O'Connor. Well, John, nice job, Seton.
Nice.
Paying up the Yukon women. So I'm wiping the pie off my face. Paulie's getting 2 pies today.
2 pie Shakur.
And since Fritzy won the bracket challenge with the Danettes and Paulie finished last, the loser has to. Man.
Never happened at Sports Center, DP.
It did not. So, Paulie.
He's got his cigarette. He's all set.
Yeah, Paulie's got a
Can Fritzy
cigarette.
go right-handed?
Huh? Okay,
He was requesting right-handed.
So Fritzy, you get to hit Paulie with a pie.
Yeah.
You can wind up. You can do whatever you want. You get 1 shot, and then Paulie's wife is going to come out, and Paulie's wife is going to administer.
How long
a
do
pie.
I get to keep my hand?
Whatever you want to, as long as I don't want him to suffocate.
I got a fantastic memory.
Wow.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, Fritzy, to administer a pie that you've been waiting for years to be able to do this to Paulie. And he's got the blindfold on. Paulie's got a cigarette.
We ready to go here?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Oh, nice. Nice. Well done. Well done, Fritzy.
He's good.
Nice.
That was good.
Okay.
I centered that pretty nice.
Now, let's bring out Paulie's wife.
Let me clear the infield a little bit.
Okay. Since Paulie's...
All right, wait. He's halfway. You're halfway there. You're halfway there.
Paulie's wife, Dana, defeated Paulie in the bracket challenge, the husbands versus the wives.
What was in there? Arsenic?
All right, so Dana, come on out. I saw her putting on the whipped cream here.
Yeah, I've seen that before, too.
Fritzy was excited about that.
Whoa.
Family
Family.
All righty.
Is that a meringue? A meringue
That
will
looks
stick for
very
days.
meringue.
Looks pretty good. Oh, boy. There's extra whipped cream on it. Whoa.
That's a good time.
Whoa.
Love you.
Wow.
All right.
That's like the whole can.
That looks pretty good there.
First time she's done that.
All right.
How about that?
Blindfold? You want to see it coming?
Ready?
All right. Come on.
Yeah. Well done. Paulie taking it like a champ. Yeah. Wow.
You want to eat the rest?
Good sport. There you
Well
go.
done.
Wow.
Well done.
Oh, she dug in there.
Nice.
I brought you a towel
That was like a years of frustration pie.
Oh, man.
for all
that's
the
so funny.
the driveway plowing.
All right.
Nice.
Good job.
Solid smooth.
That's
Nicely
good
done.
quality.
Anybody want some?
Good job.
Good job, baby.
We'll get to your phone calls coming up. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. I think we were pretty much drama-free last night with the Dodgers and the Astros. After the previous night, Bill Shaikin covers the Dodgers for the LA Times, covers baseball for the LA Times, and he's kind enough to join us. Bill, what did you expect last night between these two teams after what happened the previous night?
15-inning game in a season when, the extra inning rule is supposed to get us home pretty early.
What happened with Joe Kelly? And I'm curious the reaction by the Dodgers once they heard the suspension.
Well, they weren't thrilled. No team is ever thrilled to have one of its players suspended. But I think it goes back to everything that's happened over the past few months. Because when Rob Manfred issued the suspensions, he was like, the usual corporate executive. Everything's under control. Here's the report. Read what you want to find out. Let's move on. Let's go forward. And that might have worked until the Astros had their fan festival in the winter. And the Dodgers were kind of keeping an eye on that, the players were, because they wanted to see how remorseful the Astros might be. And the Dodgers watched the clips from Houston. They certainly did not see any remorse in the comments that they saw on television that the Astros made. And so when the Dodgers had their fan festival the next weekend, they let the Astros have it. And then people thought, okay, great, it's done. We'll go to spring training. The Astros will have a press conference. They'll apologize. And as we might remember from the pre-pandemic era, the Astros had a completely disastrous press conference in which the owner refused to take any accountability. The players are like, it's done. We're not talking about it. And so everybody's been sort of waiting. And at one point in, again, the pre-pandemic spring training, Rob Manfred had a press conference. And he said, I think what's going to happen, it's not so much that I haven't punished the Astros, it's that they'll be shamed. And they'll be shamed, as you've even heard, in spring training games. And there were Dodger fans, there was a group of 3,000 Dodger fans that had bought tickets to come boo the Astros in Anaheim. They didn't care about the Angels. They just wanted to go boo the Astros because the Astros and Dodgers, remember, we're not supposed to play this season. Well, now there's no fans in the ballpark. So what happens? How do the Dodgers get a chance to say, we remember, and yeah, we're not going to forget that easily?
Why Joe Kelly?
Joe Kelly is Joe Kelly, and as Major League Baseball's press release yesterday noted, he has a history of throwing inside, I believe is how they put it. So he came out and, I think he might have escaped such draconian punishment had he not thrown balls toward 3 separate Houston hitters. And I'm sure he will go to Major League Baseball and say, well, I'm paying for a prorated salary, so how about a prorated suspension, right? You gave me 6 games a couple of years ago, and there were 162. Now you're giving me 8 out of 60. But, Kelly's a guy who, despite whatever he would say publicly, obviously took some pride in standing up for his teammates. And you could tell by the reaction of the Dodgers players, they were certainly not embarrassed by it.
Yeah, and this is based off intent, though, Bill. That's what's interesting. So just the intent of throwing or trying to hit somebody is why he got – it feels like the commissioner is still protecting the Astros by saying, if you do this, this is the punishment you face here, but it's not – he didn't hit anybody.
He didn't hit anybody, but they looked at a history. And look, if Joe Kelly had thrown 1 pitch high and inside, maybe it's different. He threw inside to 3 separate Houston players. He threw high and inside to 2. Other than a lie detector test, I think the video is probably where you say 1 pitch slip, but 4.
Oh, I agree. He needed to be suspended for it, especially if you throw up towards the head. I have no patience for that whatsoever. But I'm curious, Dave Roberts got 1 game. Why did Dave Roberts get 1 game?
The league said that was because of Kelly's actions. So clearly, when Rob Manfred was telling the public, go ahead and shame the Astros, that'll be their punishment, he was telling teams even back then, I do not want a festival of retaliation. And here it is, the first week of the season, and we don't know how many weeks the season ultimately will last, but if it goes 9 weeks and if it goes through 16 teams in the playoffs, Major League Baseball wanted to make a point very clearly that whatever feelings you have about the Houston Astros, please do not express them with 95-mile-an-hour baseballs.
All right, so now we move to September when the Astros come to town. Have the Dodgers moved past this, in your opinion?
Probably at this point. I think they've made their feelings known loud and clear. Nothing is going to happen beyond that. And of course, as we've learned in the past 24 hours, I think the Athletic had it first, that the protocols now have been changed because Rob Manfred said, my hands were tied because the only way I was going to get the information from the Astros players was to promise them immunity for their testimony, because I had already issued a memo that said the responsible parties are the manager and the general manager. And remember, those guys are fired by the Astros. Going forward, enough players said this is ridiculous that the league and the union got together and said, yeah, this is ridiculous. And if this happens again, players will be subject to discipline.
Yeah, I just wondered if you had former players, since that's how this all started. A former player is the one that had the story about the Astros. Could you have granted them any kind of immunity, or you probably didn't even need to do that, where you could have punished the Astros? And that was what was surprising, that he had to give them immunity to get this information. Felt like it was there for the taking.
Well, the trouble is, and the league found this out a long time ago when they investigated steroids in the Mitchell report, you can compel a coach or a manager or a club executive to do an interview. You can't compel a player because they're represented by the players union. Yeah. So the George Mitchell report had a ton of holes, not through anybody's fault on the Mitchell team, but because he said, I've got all this information, I'm going to present what I have, but I asked the players to corroborate, to sit for an interview, to tell me what I got wrong, and they just wouldn't do it. And I think Manfred needed to make sure, look, I've got one guy, I don't know his motivation, maybe he's a truth seeker. Maybe he's a disgruntled ex-employee who obviously isn't playing for the Astros anymore. I need to corroborate this information. And that's what he had at the time. And again, going forward, that won't be the pattern, but that's what they had, and that's what they did.
I thought Oral Hershiser had a great line last night. Was that when Altuve struck out? And
yeah.
Then he said it's tougher when you're guessing than when you're knowing what's coming.
Exactly. Yeah. The Dodgers television station, which is actually a team-owned station, was quite in Mr. Kelly's corner over the last couple of days, and rightfully so. These are, employees that are, number one, paid by the team, but more importantly, these are guys that have played the game. They're respected guys like Oral, Nomar Garciaparra, Jerry Hairston Jr., and usually you try and modulate what you have to say a little bit, but they were no holds barred. You're a Dodger fan, and these guys are in your corner. And frankly, a lot of people around baseball thought that Joe Kelly was in the right, because if you looked on social media yesterday, it wasn't just Dodger guys that were coming out to support him. It was people like Marcus Stroman, Phil Hughes, Jared Weaver, like guys who have been there that said, this is ridiculous.
If he didn't buzz the tower, Bill, if you just hit somebody in the backside, I mean, you accomplish what you want to accomplish, don't you?
You do. Now, I know Joe said after the game that there was a widely circulated video during the time that the game was shut down. He was at home working on a pitch, tried to hit the Hank Aaron pitch back, and he broke his window. So, maybe his control isn't always the best. And, I don't think short of truth serum, you're ever going to find out really how intentional it was. But again, you had 3 batters and 4 pitches, and that was certainly enough for the league.
If I ask the residents of Los Angeles, you can have the Dodgers win the World Series or the Lakers win the NBA title this year.
Well, if you can assure me that we can get enough people together to have a parade, maybe I'd have an idea. But since we're just going to have to sit at home and watch on Zoom anyway, I'm not sure which one would be better. But let's just say there have been a few Lakers parades in this town since the last time the Dodgers won in 1988. The grainy black and white Kirk Gibson videos are great, but we've seen enough of them. And frankly, as players like to say, you never know when you're going to get this chance again. And against the Astros, the Dodgers got to Game 7 of the World Series. And that's as far as the Dodgers franchise has gotten in the last 32 years.
Good stuff, Bill. As always, safe travels. We appreciate your time.
All right, take care.
That's Bill Shaikin. He covers the Dodgers baseball for the LA Times. I watched a lot of that pitching matchup. I was really curious to watch Dustin May, his second start. I didn't think he was great. This Christian Javier with the Astros looked really good. So starting pitching was on display last night. A couple of phone calls in here. Jesse in Los Angeles. Hi, Jess. What do you have for me today?
Hey, good morning, DP and the Danettes.
Morning.
I'm so happy to have baseball back, but it seems like they just can't stop shooting themselves in the foot, because with this punishment to Joe Kelly, which I'm glad you pointed out was the first punishment for a player out of all this, but what the commissioner's office is telling players and fans is that they're willing to punish players for they're not willing to punish fans for breaking the written rules of baseball, but they are willing to punish for breaking the unwritten rules of baseball. So where's the deterrent for not cheating moving forward when this is the precedent that's set?
All right. Thank you for the phone call there, Jess. Chase in Charlotte joins us. Hey, Chase.
DP, what's going on, bro?
Hey, bud.
First time, long time, 5'9", 185. Question. Every time Reggie calls in, he calls you Theodore. What's that about? Your middle name's not Theodore, is it?
No. I don't. I think it goes back to Patrick Aloysius Ewing. And then we started inserting middle names. So he's Reggie Aloysius Miller Jr. III, and he throws Daniel Theodore. I don't know. It's our little pet names for one another. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, back in the day when we started doing this, he would just throw that in with anyone. He would say Patrick Aloysius Ewing, but then he'd say like Dirk Horatio Nowitzki, and his middle name's not Horatio. He would just throw that in there.
Yeah, we just threw in names. And then Junior III is based off McLovin with Robert Griffith Jr. III.
Sorry, it's Robert Griffith Jr. III.
Imitating himself.
I like the fact that it's not Griffith, and it's not junior, but it is the third. And then I think Sal Palantonio went on the mothership doing a report, and he either did Russell Wilson or it was Robert Griffin Jr. the third.
Robert Griffith Jr. the third.
And then we got a Cleveland Browns jersey made up with RG3, Griffin Jr. the third on it when he was on Cleveland. Yeah, McLevin.
Wasn't there a Broncos fullback named Griffith?
Howard Griffith out of Illinois?
Yes, he had. What if he had a son?
Howard Griffith Jr. the third. Yes, Seton.
And I might be making this part of it up, but I think that Andrew was doing a super early Heisman preview. Was that what it was?
No, because I'd already gotten a little bit of pat on the back because I was early on the RG3 train. Remember, that's one early call I had. I was like, this guy RG3, I'm hearing a lot about.
Mm.
Then I mess it up later on.
Yeah.
So I already knew who he was.
Yeah. Yeah. He gave us some content. That one was great, but then when you said, Aaron says to relax, REALX, was that what you said?
Yeah. REALX, relax.
The Aaron Rodgers t-shirt. We sold a lot of those t-shirts. Aaron says, relax, REALX.
I have a coffee mug. It's my favorite.
Oh, you're a good sport about it. We'll take a break here. Last call for phone calls. What we learn. What's in store tomorrow? Coming up next. The best infield, including the catcher of all time, is the Big Red Machine with you, Perez, Morgan, Concepcion, and Rose. I'm thinking, who is the second best infield in baseball history, in your opinion? Modern day.
You know, the Dodgers weren't far behind. You know, they had Garvey, Lopes, Russell, and Say.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard to beat. And the Phillies were pretty darn good with Smitty at third. Boa was at short. You know, Dave Cash, who I think was out there at times. And yeah, I mean, I would have to go back and, you know, you would have to help me on that, your opinions, but we were pretty good. Yeah, we're really good.
Yeah, don't be humble, because we know Rose is a Hall of Fame caliber player. Concepcion, to me, was a Hall of Fame shortstop. You had Morgan and Perez, and then you, which are obviously no doubt Hall of Famers. I also brought this up, too. I said, you might even agree with me, if the game is on the line, of all of those players on the Cincinnati Reds, the one guy you would want at the plate with the game on the line was Tony Perez.
Yeah, I mean, I want me first.
Okay, but I'm taking you out of this. But Perez was a great clutch hitter.
Yeah, and Joe may have been the best player I've ever seen, ever, period.
Better than anybody, Mays, Mantle, I mean, that whole group. Joe Morgan was the best player you ever saw?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he could get a hit, he could take a walk, he could steal a base, he could hit a home run, and he'd go on the Gold Glove.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were the best. We were among the top two. Let me just say that.
What, infield?
Yeah. I'd vote for us, but
I got a Hall of Famer at every position, basically.
I know. It's pretty amazing, isn't it, to put together a team that and how much would you have to pay today?
You couldn't keep you guys together in Cincinnati.
No. It was, a couple of us, and, we'd all be over the wells in the 20s.
What was the
most?
most?
What would I do with $400 million today, Dan? What would I do? I still talk to you, but it wouldn't be as often.
What was the most you ever made?
900.
900,000.
I made 2.2 in my entire career.
Wow.
I made 11,000 my first year, which was 1,000 above the minimum. I won the Rookie of the Year. I made 20. I won MVP. Made 40. I won MVP again. I made 80. And then I had the lung surgery, which kind of slowed everything down.
So Garrett Cole will make the amount of money you made in your career in the month of April.
No, in the first 2 weeks of it. I mean, it's $4 million a month. I mean, easy, and makes more than that. So he's making more than that, and he's got a 10 or 11-day grace period. So, and
All right, scoreboard time, 42 and 20. Congratulations to Tim in Virginia, who figured out first clue for 42. What would Mariano have done without them? Mariano Rivera wore number 42. On this date in 1991, Metallica releases Enter Sandman. Obviously, that is a song that Mariano Rivera famously would come out to from the bullpen to close out many, many teams for the New York Yankees. That's your 42. For 20, the clue was find a hot corner for him in Cooperstown. Cooperstown Hall of Fame, hot corner is third base. Mike Schmidt wore number 20. On this date in 1995, Mike Schmidt inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Mariano Rivera, 42. Mike Schmidt, number 20. Tim in Virginia, Mazel Tov. Congratulations.
You grew up in Baltimore. Are you a Ravens fan?
I'm a Ravens fan.
Or do you like the Redskins?
I'm a Ravens fan for sure.
I
actually have a Ravens tattoo on my arm. I had since I was.
When did you get that?
I was 15, 16.
Okay, that wasn't your first one.
One of them.
So you come home. How's that go over?
My mom didn't see it.
You kept a long sleeve?
Yeah. Every time I say it, I just, I
pull the sleeve down.
Kid, this is not for kids, all right? But I would come home and I would just always have something around, shirt on or something. And the way she found out was I had a high school basketball game, and it was a big game too, and they had my picture in the sports section of the paper. And the shot that I was taking was a layup.
And it's on your right hand.
Tattoos on my
your right arm there.
So she saw it and she tried to rip my arm off.
We'll have the Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan on the program tomorrow. We were going to have him on today. If I could say it in a delicate way, how do I bring up the Tom Brady Patriots Super Bowl loss?
Don't lead with it.
Oh, no. But I was wondering about this. If you're Tom Brady, the ultimate competitor, but if Brady and Matt Ryan played golf, and I was wondering about this last night, and if Matt Ryan says, oh, what'd you get on the hole? And he goes, 3, 28-3. Could he do that in a jabbing style with Matt Ryan? Yes, Paul.
That sounds like something Michael Jordan would do.
Yeah.
I don't know if Brady
would not go.
I don't know, though.
Oh, what's your score on the front nine? I think I got, let me see, I counted up 28.
Like Michael Jordan would do it to Matt Ryan, even though he wasn't involved in the game.
Yeah. Yes, Todd.
Or don't take too big a lead, Matt. We got plenty.
Oh, you
of
got the
holes
lead on the front nine, but
don't want to take that big a lead because it's never going to be safe.
Something about how he always plays well in the front nine but falls apart in the back nine.
Wow.
Jeepers creepers.
Wow. Matt Ryan just canceled, Todd?
He's done.
He's still joining us. Sorry.
Maybe in a few weeks.
Yeah, I have to ask that question. At what point can you joke about that? And maybe you'll never be able to, but I don't know. I just have this curiosity here. Mo in Phoenix joining us on the program. Hi, Mo. Thanks for holding. What do you have for me?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? 6'1", almost 2-something. We'll just let it go. Anyway, well, I got Paulie. I'll take you a $50 bet with maybe a gift card or something of your choice, and I'll raise you a virtual shame of shower.
A shower of shame. And what are you betting on here, Mo?
Oh, I'm a Laker fan. Oh, what's the Laker bet? I'm taking Lakers all the way.
Well, wait, what are you? Oh, you had the long shot. But he's betting on a long shot here, Mo.
I wasn't betting the Dallas Mavericks to win the NBA title straight up. That's not. That wouldn't be a wise
Oh,
bet. I think I had 50 to 1 odds.
Wow, that's brave of you, Mo. You were going to take the Lakers. Come on. Thank you, Mo. Thanks for the phone call. Wow, that took bravado. I'm going to take the Lakers. Yes, McLovin.
There's no Avery Bradley, though, so maybe it's fair.
And Rajon Rondo. Mike in California. Hi, Mike. What do you have for me today?
Hi, Dan and the Danettes. First time, long time, 6'2" and a svelte 225.
All right.
I wanted to give a little stat correction.
Oh.
I believe that Lamar Jackson will have the all-time record for the iconic NFL Top 100, going from unranked to number 1.
Oh, he was not ranked the year before. All right. Thank you, Mike. So that is, that's, nobody can top that. Unranked to 1.
That's pretty good.
That's really good. But
it's pretty good.
Thank you, Seton.
Might be. It's pretty. I mean, it's not great, but it's pretty good.
Well, I didn't realize it until you just told me. So that is great to go from not ranked to number 1 in the NFL. Can only go down from here. Yes, McLovin.
So that means Mahomes went from unranked to 4 the year before.
Yeah.
Not as good.
No.
It's a little worse.
Not as good from unranked to 1 as unranked to 4.
Slightly worse.
Yes, it is. Yes, McLovin.
We got a note on Twitter saying that these players don't take this vote seriously and they put in their own teammates and joke around with it.
Yeah, I don't care about the list. I mean, I do it for entertainment purposes. Yes, Seton.
Meanwhile, the entire NFL has spent the last 2 weeks reacting to their Madden ratings.
I know.
I'm sure they don't care about this one, too.
Yeah. No, they care about Madden. They care about Madden more than they do this list here. Yeah, Paulie.
People only say they don't care about lists when they're not highly ranked on a list.
Yeah.
When you're the number 1 ranked, blah, 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 you're like, I love these guys who put these lists together.
Yeah, it's like Bob Costas. It's not that important when he wins his Sports Emmy, and he always acts surprised when he wins his Sports Emmy. But if he lost for 3 years, or how many years I've lost, then he would really care. It's like, oh, gosh, yeah, man, whew, I'm embarrassed. I won it again. What's the longest number of years Bob Costas has gone without winning a Sports Emmy? Because he's got, I think, 28.
Oh, man, you're not going to believe this. There's never been a 3-year stretch where Bob Costas did win Sports Emmy for Best Studio Host. Yeah. He usually goes like 3 in a row, then someone else, 3 in a row, someone else.
Yeah.
Stat of the day, stat of the day.
Nice. That's a mean-spirited stat of the day.
Here comes that what?
What? Yes, Paul.
You did break Bob's streak, though. The award started in 1993. Bob picked up the first 4 of them. Then you in 97 broke that streak.
First cable sports host to win an Emmy.
That's right. And since you won it, the next cable guy was Ernie Johnson.
Ernesto.
2006.
Yeah. It's hard because we don't have, big events to host. And, for just doing SportsCenter or covering the NBA Finals or whatever, if you're doing the Olympics or the Super Bowl, those kind of things that Bob did, you're going to stand out. And obviously more pressure, more exposure. Yes, he.
I think that's what I learned today. You're sort of the Eli Manning of the sports Emmys.
Well, I was going to go Akeem Olajuwon, but
okay, fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather be Akeem.
Okay.
Eli, Hall of Famer? Question mark. Am I a Hall of Famer? Question mark. Am I a question mark? Yes. Todd, what'd you learn today?
Just because he plays in the East, don't hold that against the Greek Freak for NBA MVP.
Yeah, he's going to be the MVP. McLevin?
Ben Golliver may or may not have suspicious stuff going on in his bubble hotel room.
Yeah, I know. Alan, our IT guy, was like, hey, you might want to clean up your room because Dan may have you give him a tour. So I don't know what was going on in there. Seton O'Connor, what'd you learn?
You are the disruptor in Bob Costas's almost,
do you think
perfect career.
I know.
He was throwing a perfect game.
Yeah.
And then you came along.
Ooh. Man, he might hold that against me. Paulie, what'd you learn?
Dr. Alan Sills has a lovely bedside manner.
What we learned brought to you by these great wireless earbuds. They're called Raycon. Get 15% off your Raycon order at buyraycon.com/Patrick. That's buyraycon.com/Patrick. Thanks for all the support. Those who email, those who tweet, those who dial us up, those who watch, those who listen. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on The Dan Patrick Show.